Part 14. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 131. The lich is tribulated, and no saint ends. At least not on the surface. But it doesn't mean that the saints of the calamity will not be robbed. In the future, when Hung Jun's knife falls on the saint of Tongtian, the saint will be calculated by the Dao ancestor. Lu Gui understands this truth. Just when Hung Jun was puzzled, Lu Gui smiled. Since he wants to activate the desolate tunnel, let the desolate path awaken in the desolate realm. The time for his showdown with Hung Jun has arrived. So, it doesn't matter if it's low-key or not. The 12 ancestral witches, when the wind and dust rushed to Yingzhou Island, Lu Gui held the hand of the Hutu girl, helping her to walk outside the Chaos Palace, looking at the immortal mountain-blessed land on Yingzhou Island. Hutu fell into Lu Gui's arms, weak. But it's also very comfortable. Lu Gui and Hutu, after experiencing the sea of blood, the layer of window paper between the two seems to have been pierced. Although he didn't say it explicitly, Hutu did not shy away from the intimacy of the two. The 12 ancestors came to the outside of Yingzhou Island. Lu Gui asked the boy in Huangzhou to let them in. Sister, what's wrong with you? The Queen Mother of the West led the 11 ancestral witches to the Chaos Palace, and when she saw Hutu lying on Lu Gui's body, her expression darkened. The other ancestors saw the intimacy of the two. In addition to being anxious about Hutu, there is also a feeling of returning to the land and opening up the Hutu. However, the 12 ancestral witches quickly sensed that Hutu's physical condition was too poor. The ancestor of the Wu clan, who is known for his invincibility in the flesh, has a bloodless face and a weak body. The 12 ancestral witches changed color in an instant. I was attacked by Tai with the witch sword, and it was Lu Gui who saved me. Hutu explained indifferently, and the faces of the 12 ancestral witches changed greatly, and immediately, they were murderous. Demon clan, refining the witch sword again. The demon clan doesn't keep its promises, let's kill it to heaven. Gong Gong, Zhurong, shouted to give Emperor Tianting a good look. The faces of the other ancestors are not good. Lu Gui shook his head when he saw this scene. The 12 ancestral witches are transformed by the essence and blood of Pangu, but they are also affected by the turbidity of the earth, and their personalities are tyrannical and impulsive. Relatively speaking, only the last-born Xianming and Hotu. It is less affected by the turbidity of the earth, and the character is not so impulsive. Therefore, the achievements of the two ancestors are also higher than those of the other ancestors. Among the 12 ancestral witches, Dijiang and the Candle Dragon have the 10 major laws, which is the highest among the 12 ancestral witches. Xianming and Hutu were born after Pangu opened the heavens, and the 9 heavens of clear qi and earth turbidity gradually took shape. The 9 heavens clear qi was gradually absorbed by the heavenly Dao, and the heavenly Dao was born in the clear qi. The turbidity of the earth falls into the 9 secluded areas, giving birth to the tunnel. The earth behind is the birth of spiritual wisdom after the turbidity is completely transformed into the 9 secluded earth qi. It is no wonder that the tunnel will choose Hutu to become a destined authentic saint. Strictly speaking, the 12 ancestral witches are the chosen ones of the flood desolation tunnel, but among the 12 ancestral witches, the tunnel has chosen the Hutu. Hutu is the ancestor of the earth, and he looks like he is not as tall as Dijiang and Zilong. But the earth is also the earth. This is in line with the heart of authenticity. Hutu's sister obviously knows the temperament of her brothers, and said patiently, "Brothers, the 6-eared Daoist friends asked you to come here not for this." When the 12 ancestors heard this, they instantly fell silent. Lu Gui smiled, helped the girl to the seat, and the 12 ancestors looked at Lu Gui's movements, and their faces were so gloomy that they could drip water. The state of the earth, for an ancestral witch. Definitely a serious injury. Dijiang said, "Brother Luer, how is my sister-in-law's injury? Lu Gui said indifferently, she was hit by Tai's witch sword. Tai's witch sword is a sword that can kill ancestral witches. I suppressed Hutu's injuries for the time being, but the witch sword naturally restrained the Wu clan. Even I can't completely change the cause and effect and save her. Xianming stepped forward and almost grabbed Lu Gui's hand. No, Luer, you must save my sister. That's right, Brother Six-Eared, you know the world, you must be able to save my sister. Yes, Brother Six, please. The other ancestors also begged for Lu to return. Lu Gui smiled. I can't save her, the one who can really save her is you. What? The 12 ancestral witches were stunned for a moment when they heard Lu Gui's words. How can they say this? Dejong was puzzled and asked, Brother Luer, are you going to finish your words? Lu Gui smiled. The witch sword restrains the Wu clan. The witch sword in Tai's hand is the best in the witch sword. Hutu was injured by Tai. If she follows the conventional method, she can't completely recover. There is only one way to get her back to normal. The 12 ancestral witches looked at each other, and even Hutu was curious. She didn't ask Lu Gui, how did she save herself? Hutu's trust in Lu Gui is already 100% and wholeheartedly. Lu Guideo, if Hutu wants to survive, there is only one way to go. As soon as his voice fell, including Hutu, the expressions of all the ancestral witches changed suddenly. Dijiang was pleasantly surprised, and couldn't believe it. Brother Six-Eared, do you mean that my sister can be sanctified? The Wu clan can't preach to the saints, and it's already the nightmare of the 12 ancestors. The more I fought with the demon clan, the more I found that the demon clan had the support of saints behind it. The more the 12 ancestors felt the helplessness of the Wu clan's lack of saints. If it weren't for the support of the 6 ears behind him, he would tell the secret of the calamity. The 12 ancestors estimated that the Wu clan had long been counted dead by those saints. To put it bluntly, it's because there are no saints in the Wu clan. Now that Lu Gui has said, can Hutu become holy? This makes the 12 ancestral witches, how can they not be surprised? Hutu didn't expect that what Lu Gui said actually meant this. She had a pair of beautiful eyes, staring at Lu Gui, her small mouth slightly open. Lu Gui smiled and looked at her. You are on the edge of the sea of blood. If it weren't for my artificial interruption, then you would have preached by now. When Hutu heard this, she suddenly realized that the opportunity she sensed was the opportunity to preach. But Hutu didn't understand why Lu Gui would stop her since it was her chance to preach. Lu Gui smiled, if you preach at that time, you will fall into the calculations of Hongjun Dao ancestor. Although you will also be a saint, you will become a castrated version of a saint, trapped in one place forever and not allowed to get out. And because of your absence, the Wu clan can no longer form the 12 heavenly demon god great array, and lose the strongest combat power. And the desolate tunnels that support you behind you will also lose the chance to awaken forever because of your failure to preach. This is the most important sword of Hongjun's entire Lich tribulation, stabbing at the Wu clan. Or rather, with the help of the sword of the Wu clan to stab at the desolate tunnel. The Lich tribulation, let the Wu clan disappear, and let the tunnel be restricted. This is the biggest reason why Dao ancestor Hongjun and Heavenly Dao promote the Lich tribulation. Lu Gui's words made the 12 ancestral witches fall into a state of confusion, and Hongjun pushed the Lich to measure the tribulation, which Lu Gui told them. But what a desolate tunnel, what a real calculation. The 12 ancestral witches still heard it in a fog. Lu Gui seems to want to tell them that there is still a secret of heaven and earth about their heels. He, the time was not ripe before, today I can tell you the true heel of your ancestral witch. Lu Guideo, you are transformed by Pangu essence blood, that's true, but your 12 ancestors have never known that it is not only Pangu essence blood that gave birth to you, but also the desolate tunnel. If there are parents in the sky, Pangu is your holy father, but he is your holy mother. What? Lu Gui was not shocking and died, and the 12 ancestors were scorched on the outside and tender on the inside. He smiled, knowing that his metaphor was a bit heavy, and it didn't matter if he was a man or woman. But his analogy is not wrong. Knowing that the 12 ancestors were puzzled, Lu Gui simply started from the beginning. When the Pangu sage opened the sky, chaos was divided into heaven and earth. The pure chi rises and becomes the heavens, and the turbid chi descends and becomes the earth. Chaos has since been divided into heaven and earth, yin and yang, and in the pure chi that represents yang, the heavenly way that controls the rules of the origin of the flood was born. The flow of heaven flows, control the rules of the flood wilderness. It is the earliest Dao born among the three realms of heaven, earth, and man. At this time, many creatures that had been born in the Pangu period were betrayed by Pangu and reincarnated in the flood wilderness, and after Pangu was incarnated in the flood wilderness, many innate beings were also born in his body. Among them, Pangu's heart fell to the ground, and 12 drops of essence blood dripped to the ground. At that time, the earth was not really the earth, but a cloud of turbidity, that is, the turbidity of the earth. These 12 drops of essence blood are nourished in the turbidity of the earth, and gradually have spirits, and then the turbidity sinks into the 9 shades and turns into the 9 shades. You 12 ancestors have lost their turbidity and gradually transformed into a flood of wilderness. Lu Gui told the origin of the 12 ancestral witches, and the 12 ancestral witches themselves knew this. Hutu girl is smarter, she asked Lu Gui in a slightly shocked way. You mean, that turbid gas later became a flood desolate tunnel? That's right, when the turbidity sinks into the 9 shadows, it gradually evolves into a desolate tunnel. The so-called Pangu opens the world, and the Tao is originally the way of yin and yang of heaven and earth. It's just that the clear chi is ethereal, and it represents the yang energy in yin and yang, so it will be born before the tunnel. The turbidity is turbid, even if it sinks into the 9 shadows, it will take endless time to nourish. So, the desolate tunnel has not yet been born. I've been waiting, one of your 12 ancestral witches, activate its chance, and evolve the reincarnation of the heavens. The tunnel that represents the yin side of the Dao of the flood will awaken and share the Dao of heaven with the flood famine. Lu Gui took the words of the Hutu girl and solved everyone's doubts. Hutu girl has completely understood. Lu'er, you say that I am the one who revived the Honghuang tunnel. So, to awaken the tunnel, is it my chance to preach? Hutu's voice trembled a little, and he was very excited. Lu Guideo. That's right, incarnate reincarnation and ignite the fate of the 9 shadows. Under your guidance, the 9 shadows land will turn into the dark side of the desolation, the netherworld. Although it is not as good as Pangu, you will become a saint with the merit of opening the heavens. The moment Lu Gui said this, the reward of the system came as scheduled. The host broke the secret of the tunnel and the reincarnation of the post-Earth body, and broke the news of the level SSS. Another SSS bonus. Underscore. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 132. The host broke the news of the secret of the tunnel and the reincarnation of the post-Earth body, and the revelation level SSS, the reaction level, Fengruo God. Overall rating, SSS+. The host has obtained the Chaos Rune, Dao 1. The host has obtained the Chaos Divine Power, 10,000 Worlds Shuttle. The host obtains the Great Path, Ancestral Land. The host has obtained a wisp of heavenly Dao origin. The host obtains the law of the Great Dao, Reincarnation. The host obtains 3 origin of destruction, 3 origin of earth, 1 origin of time and space, and 1 origin of Buddha. The host has obtained a fusion rune. The host has gained mana for 5 million years. Broke the news of the secret of the tunnel and incarnation reincarnation, and sure enough, as Lu Gui guessed, it was an SSS level machine. Coupled with Hutu's worship of himself, Lu Gui once again received the highest evaluation of the SSSN system. This time, many returnees don't know the reward. But his mind swept over, and he knew the effect of these things, and he was immediately ecstatic. The reward of SSSN did not disappoint Lu Gui. Dao 1 rune, a chaos rune that is more powerful than creation and fusion rune. Lu Gui has been getting the system for so long, because he knows the law of system rewards. Under normal circumstances, the first row of rewards it gives is the best, and the first row of SSS and rewards for the last land return is the chaos bead. This rune also represents the 340 system that recognizes that it can be comparable to the chaos bead. Lu Gui hurriedly checked the introduction of this rune. Dai rune, after use, you can turn an item into a Dai artifact. The introduction of this rune was very simple, but after Lu Gui saw it, he almost jumped up. Dai, what is it? It's a variable, like a chaos bead. The reason why the chaos bead escaped from the restrictions of the heavenly Dao was that it was not forced to split like the heaven opening axe, the chaos blue lotus, and the creation jade butterfly. That's because it's the one that the heavenly Dao has escaped. The way of heaven is constant, and the chaos bead is change. Therefore, the chaos bead is not restricted by the heavenly Dao and has become the only chaos treasure that cannot be destroyed. If you are a Dao 1 divine rune, you can turn a spiritual treasure into a Dao 1 vessel. The meaning of this to Lu Gui is even happier than getting a chaos treasure. Most of the chaos arcana in this world, even if they are retained, will not be attacking magic weapons. But if Lu Gui gave this Dao 1 divine rune to Honghuang sword Hu, the Honghuang sword blade will become a Dao 1 weapon, and it will not be locked by the heavenly Dao. He can upgrade the Honghuang sword blade to a chaos treasure without any scruples. Thinking of this possibility, Lu Gui's heart beat wildly. This treasure is definitely worthy of its value comparable to that of the chaos bead. The second line of rewards in the system is a chaotic supernatural power. Can be called chaotic supernatural powers, and there are two kinds in Lu Gui's hands. One is the three heavens opening, and the other is the higher Kalachakra kingdom. Lu Gui sank his consciousness into this new supernatural power, and shuttled through the worlds. Knowing the effect of this supernatural power, Lu Gui's expression was complicated. The function of this magic power is very simple, that is, it can use the source of the avenue, similar to the long river of time, airspace, space-time boundary, and other places as a springboard to jump to other worlds. Successfully achieve crossing the endless void and reaching someone else's world. The reason why this magical power is so precious is because whether it is a great Dao saint or a mixed Yuendaloyo golden immortal from the outside world of the heavens, when they enter airspace and other places, they can only enter where they are and return where they are. Others, by tracking down an opponent, can travel to other worlds. Otherwise, the flood desolation might have been found by those other world Dao powerhouses long ago, and it might have been destroyed at will. You can't travel through the 10,000 realms at will, this is the iron law of the great Dao. If you want to go to other worlds, you can only look in the void, and basically there is little hope. Through this magical power, Lu Gui thought of one more thing. In the legends about the flood he had seen in his previous life, there was also a saying. That is, the Pangu sage is wearing the stars and the moon, and came to the chaos of the flood from other places. That's why he opened the sky, so he would cause the siege of the chaos demon god, because he was not a person from the wilderness. Lu Gui didn't know if this was a biography, and he himself wasn't sure. In the memory of the demon god of war, the chaos demon ape, he only saw the demon god besieging the plate. Maybe Pangu is really not a person from the wilderness. Although the chaos demon god had a deep heel, Lu Gui understood that when Pangu opened the sky, the chaos demon god was not a chaos Yuendaloyo golden immortal. They died and they were AHH. At that time, Pangu killed 3,000 demon gods with an axe, and then split the chaos of the desolation. This power was too strong. If Pangu is one of the chaos demon gods, Even if he is the demon god of strength, he is higher than everyone else. But he's not going to be that strong. The reason why Lu Gui has this idea is because he is also a chaotic heel now, and the Chaos Yuandalo Golden Immortal 7th Heaven. He is now splitting the Chaos bead, and he must be fully prepared. Not to mention the chaos that splits a world. If you have a chance, go outside. Maybe Pangu Great Sage is really a great Dao saint from the outside world. He failed to open the sky, so he stayed here and became a of the desolate world. Lu Gui guessed Pangu's life experience, but there was no answer, so he simply put it aside. The Great Road leads, ancestral land. Heavenly Dao origin. The law of the Great Way, reincarnation. Of these three rewards, the Great Path leads, ancestral land, which is the source of the Great Dao of Earth. Lu Gui is not interested. He doesn't want to go to the source of reincarnation in his hand now, let alone the acquired avenue like the Earth Dao. Heavenly Dao origin. If Lu Gui concentrates on refining, he should be able to quickly enter the 8 heavens of the mixed Yuandalo Golden Immortals. After the 7 heavens of the saints, it became very difficult to ascend to the realm. Even if he had the origin in his hands, his cultivation speed would not be much higher. Unless you split the chaos bead, eat and drink to your heart's content. This heavenly Dao origin can be regarded as sending charcoal to Lu Gixu. After the eightfold saint, Lu Gui entered the chaos bead to preach, and he was more sure. As for the great Dao law, reincarnation, it is nothing more than adding an extreme path for Lu Gui. The law of reincarnation, if it can be handed over to the Hutu girl, she will be able to enlighten the mixed Yuandalo Jin immortal now. However, this must be used by the host itself. Lu Gui didn't even want to think about it, so he swallowed it directly. Suddenly, in the Chaos Palace, the power of reincarnation was pervasive. Hutu was originally close to Lu Gui, and when this force washed over her, a hint of blush appeared on her face. The power of reincarnation is the law that is comprehended after the earth is shaken. Although she can't now, she is very close. Although Lu Gui took stock of the treasures, the time was actually only a moment. Hutu sighed and collapsed in Lu Gui's arms. Lu Gui reacted and put away the law of reincarnation in time. In this chaotic palace, the illusion of reincarnation in the sky disappeared in an instant. The 12 ancestral witches, the Queen Mother of the West, were horrified, and at the same time admired Lu Gui so much. The six-eared saint is speaking directly, but he can actually be enlightened. And it's the way of the saints. I can't ask for the position of a saint. Six-eared big brother, it's just a saint's avenue. The 12 ancestral witches stared at Lu Gui, their eyes shining. Lu Gui came back to his senses and smiled. I just got distracted, I'm sorry. Distracted, do you call enlightenment, called distraction? The 12 ancestral witches almost went crazy when they looked at the six-eared pretend. Hutu broke free from Lu Gui's arms, blushing. Luer, you haven't answered my question yet. Lu Gui smiled. Let's continue to talk. You are right, the reincarnation of the post-Earth body is the opportunity for the awakening of the desolate tunnel. Since then, the two realms of heaven and earth have become more stable. The 12 ancestral witches, with the essence and blood of Pangu as the origin and the authentic turbidity as the place to raise the fetus, can they be truly born? However, after the birth of the 12 ancestral witches, the turbidity of the earth has sunk into the 9 shades. You only know Pangu, but you don't know that you are an authentic chosen race. The Wu clan should have been a saint in the tunnel. As he said this, the 12 ancestral witches finally showed a look of sudden realization. No wonder Lu Gui said that the authentic is equivalent to the Holy Mother of the 12 ancestral witches, because the turbidity of the earth is nourished, just like the mother's womb of the human race. Without the turbidity of the earth, the 12 ancestral witches may not be the 12 ancestral witches. Not to mention anything else, the 3 Qings are the differentiation of the Pangu Yuan Shen, and their heels are not as deep as the 12 ancestors. But before Sanking met Honghuang, it was just average. But their 12 ancestors have already swept through the flood and become overlords. This is not an opportunity given to them by the earth, and what is it? The girl asked, then why do you say that the opportunity for my preaching is a calculation? Lu Guideo. The flood is destined to give birth to 3 realms, clear Qi and turbid Qi represent yin and yang respectively, and evolve into heavenly Dao and earthly Dao. And heaven and earth have no vitality and no change, there must be a representative of vitality and change, this is humanity. We creatures are all innate beings, strictly speaking, although they were born in the flood wilderness, they are all in chaos. We can't represent humanity, we must be an acquired race in the wilderness. Nuwa's creation of human beings is a sign of humane conception, so she has great merit. Lu Gui briefly introduced the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and man, and made the 12 ancestors nod frequently. He changed his style of painting and returned to the tunnel. The 2 realms of heaven and earth were originally naturally generated, but you are an authentic chosen saint, and you should preach in the authentic realm. But the heavenly Dao will not let the underground Dao be born and thin out its own authority. 5.7 The heavenly Dao is ruthless and selfish, and it would not interfere with the Dao of the heavens, but the Dao of heaven is now the Honghuang Dao ancestor who fits the Dao with his body. Heaven is selfless, Honghuang is selfish. So you understand now, why was your preaching calculated by Honghuang Dao ancestor? Honghuang. After Lu Gui finished speaking, Hutu was not angry, and the 12 ancestral witches first screamed again and again, burning with anger. Honghuang, it's too much of a deception. As the eldest brother of the 12 ancestral witches, the Emperor Zhang ancestral witch scolded angrily. However, Lu Gui had long covered up the heavens, he scolded, and Honghuang couldn't hear it. Brother Six aired, you can help our Wu clan and help our sister. Zhang suddenly puffed and knelt down directly. The other ancestors of the 12 ancestral witches, seeing the eldest brother doing this, also knelt down. Poof! Poof! Ask the 6-eared saint, help the sister, help us Wu clan. After hearing Lu Gui's revelations, the ancestor of the Wu clan felt endless anger and deep despair. They can fight heaven and earth, but they are not fools. Even if you pour out the entire Wu clan, you will definitely not be able to defeat Honghuang. Now their only hope is pinned on Lu Gui. Lu Gui smiled. Hutu is my future Taoist, I will naturally help. Lu Gui's voice fell, and a hint of red appeared on Hutu's face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 133. The 12 ancestral witches were pleasantly surprised by Lu Gui's assurance. Especially when Lu Gui personally admitted that the relationship between him and Hutu, they were even more ecstatic. The 12 ancestors have always regarded Lu Gui as their own. Also knows that the 2 sisters like Lu Gui. Now at least the Hutu girls have achieved positive results, and they congratulate Hutu one after another. Hutu was weak and had to bury his head in Lu Gui's arms. Let's get down to business. If the Hutu girl wants to recover, she must be a saint, and with the help of the saint's immortal and immortal characteristics, she can be freed from the restraint of the witch sword. Moreover, Hutu preached, open up the netherworld, and the Wu clan will have a place to get out of the calamity. When the 12 ancestors heard this, they really understood at this time that Lu Gui meant that the hope of the Wu clan's escape from the robbery fell on Hutu. 11 people were excited. If the earth is reincarnated, it can really be sanctified. Not only is their Wu clan blessed by a saint, but they also incarnate in the netherworld, so that the Wu clan can retreat to the netherworld and not appear in the wilderness. Since it is not in the flood famine, It doesn't matter if it is a calamity. This is what Luer said, the calamity can only be escaped, not resolved. The Wu clan is the son of the earth, and the netherworld born in the future of the tunnel must be very suitable for the Wu clan to survive. And after exiting the flood wilderness, Hongjun likes to find whoever should be robbed. But thinking of Hongjun, the face of the 12 ancestral witches immediately sank. Since Hongjun Dao ancestor didn't want the Dao to wake up, that is to say, he would also prevent the Wu clan's ancestor Wu Hutu from preaching. Things are in a new loop. Six-eared brothers, that Hongjun Dao ancestor, we can't count. Dejong was a little deflated and said to Lu Gui. The other ancestors also became silent. The Dao ancestor was the heavenly Dao of the flood desolation. No matter how 15 they are, they don't dare to say that they will definitely be able to help Hutu. Lu Gui smiled. If Hutu preaches now, it will definitely not work. She will be 100% calculated by Hongjun to succeed, and the reason why Hutu Miiza will fail to preach is nothing more than that she is not ready. Hongjun used the Terran slaughter to directly arouse her heart's wish. Because of the great wish, and with the authentic sense. Actually, the tunnel and her are all hastily preaching, everything is in Hongjun's calculations. We just don't go to Hongjun's pace. Be prepared for everything, I'm 70% sure that I can help my sister preach. The 12 ancestors were overjoyed when they heard this. Dejong asked, Six-eared saint, what do you need us to do? Lu Gui smiled, if you save your life and live to the moment of Hutu preaching, you will be successful. This sentence made the 12 ancestral witches creepy, and Lu Gui seemed to mean something. If the Lich demon wants to push it, the 12 ancestral witches must die one, and the 12 ancestral witches who died cannot form the 12 heavenly demon god array. This is the core array of your 12 ancestral witches, and it is also the help that the future Hutu girl will need. Everyone, just try to stay alive first. Don't be attacked by Donghuang Tai. Lu Gui saw the thoughts of the 12 ancestors at a glance, and Dejong and the others laughed. The Wu clan doesn't suffer. They originally planned to fight the demon clan afterwards and settle accounts for the Hutu girls. What Lu Gui said now is related to the survival of the Wu clan. They can only be honest. When I go back, I will retreat in the Pangu Hall and never go out. The forces of the Wu clan, don't cause trouble before the Hutu girl preaches. Lu Gui received the assurance of the 12 ancestral witches and nodded. Hutu girl is in retreat with me, and I will prepare for her before preaching. By the way, these are for you. Lu Gui casually took the rest of his useless time and space origin, and each threw one of the two strongest ancestors, Dejong and Candle Juyin. On the day of the Taoist of the Hutu, you need the great array of the 12 heavenly evil gods, and you will improve your strength, which will help you preach. Dejiang, Candle 9 Yin, the origin of the law of results, trembling all over. They felt the pure laws of time and space coming from the origin of the law, and they were very excited. The 12 ancestors cultivated the flesh, and it was difficult to comprehend the law. But they have the law of self-generation, and this law origin can save them for many years. In the future, I will pass on the Fa with strength, Lu Gui promised to the 12 ancestors. Honghuang Wasteland Awakening, the reincarnation Taoist must be one of the people, and Hutu is his own Taoist companion. The 12 ancestral witches are also considered their own people. Prove with strength that those who are not big heels cannot succeed. Only the Chaos Demon God or the same level of heels can prove the Tao with strength. Although the 12 ancestral witches are not Chaos Demon Gods, they are also comparable to lower-level Chaos Demon Gods. It is better to pass on to them the method of mixing the elements of the Tao. After receiving Lu Gui's promise, the 12 ancestral witches were even more excited. After explaining the matter, except for Hutu, the other ancestors said goodbye and left. At this time, in the Chaos Palace, only Hutu Miizi and Lu Gui were left. After the earth curled up in Lu Gui's arms, she indifferently shook Lu Gui's hand and asked, Xianggong, What should we do next? A sentence of Xianggong made Lu Gui stunned, and then laughed. The children of the tribe are really different. Once they accept the relationship between the two, the Hutu girl is much bolder than the duplicitous snake girl of Nuwa. The relationship between Lu Gui and Hutu can be regarded as determined in this way. He smiled. If you want to get rid of Hung Jun's threat and succeed in the sermon, you must understand why you were calculated by Hung Jun to succeed. First, the Wu clan has no primordial god, and is born with a cripple. If you want to be a saint, the earth would have completed your primordial god. But I think at the most critical time, Hung Jun made a move, so you were stuck at this step and couldn't get out. At this point, when you preach, I will protect the Fa for you and stop Hung Jun's plot. Second, Hongmeng Purple Chi. Hongmeng Purple Chi is the foundation of the Great Dao, although without Hongmeng Purple Chi may not be able to preach, but it will be 100 times more difficult. Heaven and earth are humane, they all have their own saint positions, and of course there will be corresponding Hongmeng Purple Chi born. But when you preached, the tunnel was not awake, and you didn't have Hongmeng Purple Chi, so the difficulty naturally increased 100-fold. Third, you don't have a tacit understanding with the tunnel, and you don't know that Hung Jun will calculate you. If you have a tacit understanding with the tunnel in advance, what are you afraid of? Lu Gui laid out the things one by one, and Hutu nodded frequently. However, she is also worried that in addition to the first one, the other two are that she knows the problem and cannot solve it. Lu Gui seemed to see through Hutu's thoughts, and smiled. In his hand, there was suddenly a wisp of purple gas. Hongmeng Purple Chi. The little mouth of the Hutu girl opened slightly, and she almost couldn't close it. She was worried about the problem of Hongmen's Purple Chi, so Lu Gui took out a wisp for her. It's not that Hutu hasn't seen Hongmeng Purple gas, it seems that Lu Gui's wisp of purple gas is more refined than the Hongmeng Purple gas that Hung Jun gave to Lao Tzu and others. Xianggong, you'll know in the future that you have more hole cards in my father. Lu Gui interrupted Hutu's words, and took out the origin of the law. Origin of cause and effect, 3. Reincarnation origin, 3. Death origin, 3. The origin of the earth, 3. Lu Gui's shot is the origin of the 12 laws, which cover the 3 authentic laws of cause and effect, reincarnation and death, and 3 are the laws that come with the earth itself. Hutu knew that the origin of the law was precious, and seeing that Lu Gui took out so much at once, her heart trembled, and her hands trembled. It's all your own people, you're welcome. The law of reincarnation is originally a law that you will comprehend after you become reincarnated. After you preach, you are a reincarnation saint. But now, if you comprehend the law of reincarnation in advance, after you preach in the future, it will come naturally. If Hung Jun takes advantage of your enlightenment, you won't be in a hurry. Cause and effect and reincarnation complement each other. Death is one of the origin laws of the netherworld, as well as your law of earth. All in all, the stronger your being, the better your chances of success in enlightenment. Don't be polite to you. Lu Gui pressed back Hutu's words of resignation directly. Hutu's expression was complicated, and he saluted gently. Thank you. It's all said, don't be polite to me. Retreat and devour all the laws. When you're done, I'll take you somewhere. When Hutu heard this, he nodded obediently, and Lu Gui asked Huang Zhong to come over and take Hutu to the abbot's secret realm for retreat. After Lu Gimu sent Hutu, then he turned his attention to the Queen Mother of the West. Seeing her look of loss, Lu Gui couldn't help but smile. The 3 realms of heaven, earth, and man each have a holy position. Among them, the heavenly Dao of the flood desolation is 9. The flood desolation tunnel is 6. Humanity is estimated at 3. There are 6 authentic holy positions, one of my doppelganger's reincarnation Taoist, one of Hutu girls, and Zhen Yuanzi, as the chosen one of the authentic chosen one, will also occupy one. The remaining 3 holy positions, 430 also have to plan for their own people. Since the plot is authentic, Lu Gui doesn't have any idea of letting the saint fall into someone else's house. Authentic saints must all be their own people. On the Wu clan's side, Lu Gui can set aside a saint's position. Who should I give the other to? His own disciple Huang Zhong Tongzi, Chaos, and Food. The opportunity to preach the Tao is not small, there is no need to waste a saint's position. In the same way, the 12 ancestral witches are actually not necessary. But if you don't give one, you can't say it. Lu Gui's eyes fell on the Queen Mother of the West. The Queen Mother of the West is the first wisp of yin qi in the wilderness, and it is just right to match the authentic yin attributes. She is also the god of Kunlun Mountain, which is also in line with the authentic meaning. Since the Queen Mother of the West was captured by herself, she has been loyal to herself, and the two also have a trace of affection, although they are not as close as Nuwahutu, but they are also the people in the future room of Lu Gui. She deserves a throne. As for the last holy seat, Lu Gui thought of 11 and Chang 11, and immediately shook his head. Authentic holy position, although Lu Gui has a lot of confidence in arranging the people he wants to arrange, but it is not a cat or a dog. 11 and Chang 11 are heavenly maidens and have nothing to do with the earth. Lu Gui just wanted to forcibly help them, but he couldn't help them. Speaking of which, these two little girls have been back in retreat in the Moon Palace for tens of thousands of years. Long time no see. Lu Gui thought of 11 and Chang 11, and couldn't help laughing. The monk was in retreat, and he didn't see each other for tens of thousands of years, and he quickly put these things aside. The last saint is probably going to fall on the sea of blood. Styx, this guy should also settle accounts with him. Lu Gui thought of the river Styx, murderous. Although the Styx ancestor has never really been regarded as a confidant by him, it doesn't mean that this guy can betray after receiving his favor. Since Hutu's sister is still in retreat, she also has to prepare for her preaching with the reincarnation Taoist. Kill this bastard first. The sea of blood is an important force for the formation of the netherworld. But you're not Styx? Cheap this mosquito. Lu Gui casually played a magic decision and headed towards the East China Sea Dragon Court. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 134. The Netherworld Blood Sea is one of the greatest aids to the reincarnation of the post-Earth body. In the original process of the desolation, Hutu walked to the edge of the Netherworld Blood Sea, sensed the suffering of all beings, and vowed to incarnate reincarnation. At that time, the Styx ancestor, who was the master of the Netherworld Blood Sea, did his best to help Hutu. He also used this merit to push his cultivation to the peak in one fell swoop, and became one of the most powerful figures under the saints in the post-flood era. Styx had the opportunity to become one of the authentic saints. But because Honghuang calculates the soil, the tunnel sleeps. The Styx ancestor also lost the opportunity for the last enlightenment and sanctification. Originally, he was the first to take refuge in Lu Gui, and in Lu Gui's plan, he had the position of a saint in the Styx ancestor. But since he is looking for death, he can't help himself. The Sea of Blood is one of the most important resources for the Dao of the later land, and it is impossible for Lu Gui to give it up. But the Netherworld Blood Sea that Lu Gui needs is not the Styx ancestor. Since he, the master of the Blood Sea, is disobedient, then another one is. After Lu Gui's message was sent, the Mosquito Dao people came to Yingzhou Island with the core figures of the Azura clan. After entering the Palace of Chaos, Lu Gui looked at the Mosquito Dao man coldly. "Master, I didn't steal." The Mosquito man shrunk his neck, and Lu Gui nodded. "What does this mean? She ate it secretly." "I just ate 2 dragons. And the phoenix of the immortal volcano, it's really gone." "Well, of the Kirin Cliff." Lu Gui hasn't spoken yet, the Mosquito Dao people are weak in their hearts and don't admit themselves. He looked at the appearance of the Mosquito Man and smiled. Take it. Lu Gui casually threw the 3 devouring origins to the Mosquito Dao Man. The Mosquito Man is the division of devouring the demon god, and devouring is her instinct. Because of the crippled heel, she couldn't control her instincts. Lu Gui didn't bother to blame her for anything, and directly threw out 3 devouring origins. When the Mosquito people saw it, they were shaken violently. Master! Woohoo! These 3 devouring origins can help her deduce the devouring law to the realm of at least the devouring method, and even have a slight chance of consummation. Lu Gui was kind to himself, and the Mosquito Dao people were so moved that they almost cried. Bear child, what a headache. Lu Gui's heart to the Mosquito Road people is also a headache. She made the Mosquito Man swallow 3 origins. The Mosquito Dao Man is the cultivator who devours the great Dao, and he laughs effortlessly at the 3 origins. Her strength has skyrocketed directly, and she is full of fierce light. The Azura demon general who followed her behind him was shocked to see the aura of the Mosquito Dao people, like the enemy of all beings. This woman is more like an adversary than they are. Master, why didn't you tell me to come? After the Mosquito Dao people devoured the devouring origin, their strength skyrocketed. She saluted respectfully towards Lu Gui. How gentle and gentle she was. Lu Gui Dao. Styx ancestor, it's time to settle the account with him. Do him to me, you take away the position of the master of the Blood Sea, and guard the Blood Sea. When the Mosquito Dao man heard this, a trace of blood suddenly condensed on his pretty face. Master, I've long seen him unpleasant, if it weren't for this old man, he wouldn't have died. The apprentice would have killed him a long time ago. There is also a 9-grade fire red lotus on the head of the Mosquito Man. Lu Gui's heart moved. These 5 lotus flowers, if they get together and let the reincarnation Dao people devour them, I don't know what the effect will be. In Lu Gui's hands, there are already 2 lotus flowers, namely the pure world white lotus and the reincarnation purple lotus. The karmic fire red lotus in the hands of the Mosquito Dao people, as well as the merit golden lotus in the hands of the Dao people, and the world-destroying black lotus of the demon ancestor Rahu. Speaking of which, I forgot about the demon ancestor. Demon ancestor Rahu is Hongjun's lifelong enemy, and it is also a stepping stone to Hongjun's sanctification. Hongjun killed Rahu, but the demon ancestor Rahu did not completely fall. At this time, he was guarding his world-destroying Black Lotus, and he was in the abyss somewhere in the Western world, waiting for a chance to be reborn. Lu Gui knew that demon ancestor Rahu was indeed waiting for an opportunity in the future. After the journey to the west, he gave up a Buddhist disciple and became the Buddha of Heavenless. But at that time, the world was no longer that world. Except for a small splash, Rahu was quickly crushed to death by the powers. Become the ant that squeezes the last vestige of value. This thing, I guess I don't know that I have become a pawn of a saint, and I think I have hidden it well. Now Lu Gui's taste has long been fed by the system. He has several innate treasures, and he lacks interest in finding the best innate spirit treasures. If he hadn't thought of this possibility, Lu Gui wouldn't have thought about it. There's no hurry to do this, at least wait for the reincarnation of the Dao Saint to see if he can fuse his refining heels. If he can, it's not too late to go. Mosquito, use the god-killing spear to exchange the karmic fire red lotus. Do you want to change it? Lu Gui spoke directly, and the blood mosquito was stunned. Master can take it if he wants, no need to change it. The Mosquito Dao people solemnly sent out the fire red lotus of the Jupin industry, and Lu Gui followed casually. He threw the god-killing spear to the Mosquito Man. That's what Master gave you. If you have the opportunity to kill the Tao one day, this gun can be promoted to the innate supreme treasure. Or, you find the source of the killing. Lu Gui said halfway and did not continue. Now that he is a magic weapon of the level of the god-killing spear, he has long been unable to use it. If a mosquito is obedient, he will naturally be a man. The mosquito people got the god-killing spear and couldn't put it down. She really liked this killing treasure more than the karmic fire red lotus. Master, then I'll go. The mosquito man took the god-killing spear, and the anger was monstrous. She remembered Lu Gui's mission and said to Lu Gui. Lu Gui smiled and explained some words to her, and she turned around and left with the Azura clan. Looking at the back of the mosquito man, Lu Gui smiled. He turned his gaze to Honghuang temple not far away and quietly went. On the other side, the netherworld blood sea, under the palace of the river Styx. The soul of the human race is still refined into a witch sword, and it is constantly handed over to the demon race. However, the Styx ancestor was restless at this time. There seems to be something upset that is always bothering him. Damn, I'm in the middle of the catastrophe now. Then 6 ears won't kill me, will they? No, he's a saint and won't make a move on me. That's not right, he's still 2-1. I betrayed him. The source of the Styx ancestors' upset was Lu Gui's rescue next to the Sea of Blood. The Saint War, although it was shot thousands of miles away, was still earth-shattering. Lu Gui's strong combat power really scared the Styx. He curled up desperately in the Sea of Blood, praying that Lu Gui would forget him. Later, Lu Gui did leave. But the Styx ancestor, who had followed Lu Gui for a period of time, always felt that he was not safe. He felt that Lu Gui would come back sooner or later to kill him. Styx ancestor came out to die. The voice of the mosquito man suddenly resounded in the Sea of Blood. The expression of the Styx ancestor changed greatly, and it was still here that it was time to come. Ancestor, it was the mosquito people who came too. With Bosun, Shiva and others. The mosquito. When the Styx ancestor heard the report of the ghost mother, his expression changed greatly. The next moment, there was a bang. The bottom of the netherworld blood sea has been directly penetrated by the mosquito Dao people and the Azura clan. Goodbye to this blood mosquito, Styx ancestor snorted coldly. The mosquito Dao man was full of anger, and his Styx ancestor had not been idle all these years. Helping the demon clan refine the witch sword, the Styx ancestor has also condensed a lot of murderous aura over the years. Although he is still a sub-saint cultivator, he uses the killing machine to condense the 2 swords of Abayun-2, and the Styx Dao people think that over the years, his divine power is at least several times stronger. The world's killing magic weapons, led by the Zuxian sword, followed by the divine killing spear, and then down, are the 2 divine swords of Abayun-2 and the immortal gourd on Buzhu Mountain. After all these years of sacrifice, the ancestor of the Styx River has been refining over the years, and Abayun-2 has vaguely resonated with him. The power of the ultimate killing spirit treasure is incomparable. In the face of the blood mosquito that sucked itself dry back then, the Styx ancestor directly sacrificed the Nose Un-2 twin swords. In an instant, under the Sea of Blood, the murderous machine was monstrous. Turned into countless blood snakes and killed the mosquito people. Mosquito Dao man, you killed me back then to take the treasure, and today I will definitely take revenge. The mosquito man snorted coldly. Styx, you didn't respect my master that day, you deserve to die. Now that you have betrayed your oath, you should be broken into pieces. After the mosquito man finished speaking, he turned into the true body of a blood-winged black mosquito, and the devouring Dao pattern loomed on his body. In the face of Abayun-2, she was not afraid, and directly rolled up her mouthparts and sucked. The evil chi on Abayun-2's sword was directly absorbed by her. However, this time, she didn't suck the grade on Abayun-2's body, and the mosquito Dao person's face changed slightly. The Styx ancestor laughed. Mosquito man, do you think the seat will make the same mistake? The shame of the past, I will get it back today. Today, I will use my killing supernatural powers, and I will be disgraced by blood. Seeing that the mosquito's strongest supernatural power was ineffective, he actually put his mind at ease. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the stick's ancestor, and finally, the color of blood in the sky emerged from his side. Kill, kill, kill. Styx shouted 7 killing words, and Abayun erupted with even more ghostly killing intent and killed towards the mosquito man. A sarcastic smile flashed in the eyes of the mosquito man. Styx, you had a lot of fun playing Killing Path, but you seem to have forgotten. Your killing path was taught to you by my master. In her hand, a gun-shaped weapon instantly appeared. 7 killings, you have nothing to show for it. Kill the sky, kill the earth, kill all beings, kill the gods, kill the Buddha, kill the saints. Kill all things, only 7 kills. Master said that you are not worthy of killing the Tao, and it is true. Help people refine their souls and condense murderous energy, you are a girl. Styx ancestor, by the words of the Mosquito Dao people, stimulated the Dao heart to lose its defense. At this time, the Mosquito Dao people were also flooded with monstrous killing intent. The mosquito road is transformed into a human form, and the face is childish. I-1/4 OE. A giant lorry came with a gun treading water, and the killing intent condensed into substance at the moment of approaching the river Styx, and then exploded in an instant. Zhao Qian's, Styx ancestor, scalp numb. His killing machine is too far worse than that of the Mosquito Dao man. The Mosquito Dao man's gun pierced through Styx's body directly, taking away all his consciousness. Am I wrong? When the ancestor of the Styx River was dying, he was still unwilling. Master asked me to tell you that if you followed him, you would have a saint. Now, I'm cheap. Bang. Hearing the words that the Mosquito Dao man sent to him in a secret voice, the Styx was like a lightning strike, and thoughts of remorse instantly came to his mind. You're going to die, completely. After the Mosquito man said this, he wrenched the god-killing spear. The Styx ancestor was horrified to find that she had shot him, directly injuring his origin where he was hiding somewhere. The true way of killing can trace cause and effect. You're too weak. The Mosquito Dao man pulled out the god-killing spear, and a generation of heroic Styx ancestors died in an instant. As soon as the river Styx died, the saints in all parts of the flood desolation reacted one after another. In Kunlun Mountain, Lao Tzu and Yuan Shi stood up suddenly, and their expressions changed greatly. In the Western world, the Taoist and the Quasi-Mention looked at each other. In Zixiao Palace, Hongjun's expression was gloomy, staring at the netherworld blood sea. At this time, when Lu Gui's Hung was on his way to Honghuang, he glanced back and smiled dumbly. Dead Styx doesn't deserve much of his attention. With one foot, he stepped into Honghuang. Zhen Yuanzi, your chance to preach has arrived. Zhen Yuanzi, the master of Honghuang Temple, had just sensed that his mixed Yuan ancestral vein great array had been broken into and was preparing to investigate. Lu Gui's words almost made him lose his Dao heart. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 135. Zhen Yuanzi didn't expect Lu Gui to come suddenly, and directly said what he was looking forward to the most. Since he found out that his friend Hongyun was killed, it was the calculation behind Dao ancestor. Especially after Daozu Hongjun calculated the authentic and calculated his own affairs. Zhen Yuanzi has been very low-key in the flood wilderness, waiting for his opportunity. When he saw Lu Hui coming, he hurriedly went over and bowed and saluted. Meet the 6-eared saints, meet the seniors. Lu Gui looked at Zhen Yuanzi and found that the other party's Dao rhyme was not triggered, but it vaguely resonated with heaven and earth. Zhen Yuanzi's breath is already powerful to the extreme. There is no way to enter. Lu Gui's head, over the years, this ancestor of the earth immortals has actually entered the sub-saint realm silently. Zhen Yuanzi, the ancestor of the earth immortals, is accompanied by the best innate spirit treasure book of the earth, and is one of the authentic chosen saints. The Lich is calculating, and Honghuang is mainly calculating the desolate tunnel. As a person who is favored by the luck of the earth, a wisp of Hongmeng purple chi is considered a dead red cloud, and the Dao heart of the ancestor of the earth immortal is abolished. However, under Lu Gui's prompting, Zhen Yuan's Dao heart not only did not lose. Instead, he suppressed his anger and fulfilled his Dao heart. Now Lu Gui told him that the time had come for him to preach. Zhen Yuanzi puffed and knelt directly on the ground. "Thank you, seniors, please show me the way." Lu Gui smiled, "You can't talk about pointing, you are the chosen one of the desolate realms. If it weren't for Hongzhen's calculations, you would have the position of a saint. I want to awaken the tunnel, and I have my own calculations, everyone just takes what they need." Lu Gui's words made Zhen Yuanzi feel at ease. Compared with those high-sounding saints, he trusted Lu Gui's straightforward attitude more. Lu Gui continued. "But you have one thing to prepare: if the earth awakens, you become holy. Then you will completely stand on the opposite side of the Suanmen. It's okay, it's been a long time since poor Dao remembered the hatred of his old friend." A hint of coldness flashed in Zhen Yuan's eyes. "The people who killed my old friends back then, Kunpeng, Tai 673, Hongzhen, I preached that I must come back slowly if I have the chance." Lu Gui nodded when he heard this. "Then you come with me." Lu Gui waved his hand, and Zhen Yuanzi was shocked to find that his predecessors actually had their own natal supernatural powers, and they had everything in their sleeves. Zhen Yuanzi was put in his sleeve by Lu Gui, turned around and left. Was Wang Guanqing Wind and Bright Moon, 300 scattered immortals, no one found that Zhen Yuan Daxian had left was Wang Guan. Lu returned all the way back to Yingzhou Island, and vaguely sensed killings in the direction of the Sea of Blood. It was a battle between the Azura clan loyal to the River Styx and the Azura clan of the Mosquito people. On the side of the Mosquito people, the momentum is like a bamboo, and they directly kill the opponent's corpses all over the field. The blood on her body is getting more and more blazing. Finally, it condensed into a mark. The Mosquito Dao man, replacing the River Styx, became the master of the Sea of Blood. Lu Gui nodded. The Mosquito people occupy the Sea of Blood, and all these preparations are ready. He heard another discordant voice. Lu Gui looked back, using the heavenly Dao divine power, and suddenly found the figure of a person who should not have appeared. He sneered, "Zunti, do you still want to pick up cheap here?" Lu Gui took out the Hongmeng sword and took a sword in his hand. The sword light in the sky broke through the sky towards the western shore of the Blood Sea. On the edge of the Sea of Blood, a Taoist sensed the killing machine in the sky. In an instant, his face changed drastically, and he quickly took out a tree-shaped treasure and brushed it into the air. This Taoist is naturally a quasi-Taoist person. His colorful trees are nothing but brushed. Zunti brushed this brush, but he brushed Lu Gui's tens of millions of sword lights. However, the rest of Lu Gui will paint the surface and directly blow up the edge of the Blood Sea to the ground. The quasi-Dao man spat out a mouthful of blood and burst back. "The Azura clan was created by myself. The strife in the netherworld Blood Sea, it's not your turn to pick up the cheap." Lu Gui's voice, ethereal. The quasi-Daoist was so angry that his face turned blue and white for a while. He gritted his teeth, six-eared. Lu Gui ignored him at all, and left after throwing a sword. Zuntidao's popularity was ruined, but he didn't dare to wait any longer to pick up a bargain on the edge of the Sea of Blood. He originally saw the battle in the Sea of Blood, and he was still fighting, taking away some of the Azura clans and letting him protect the Dharma for Fang Elysium. After the warning, Zunti didn't dare to stay after all, and turned around. This war between saints, other saints are also in the eyes. These 6 heirs, Let the apprentices take down the sea of blood, is there any other conspiracy? Lao Tzu was in Kunlun mountain and said to Yuan Shi. The Yuan Shi Taoist shook his head, the 6 ears will be avenged, the river Styx betrayed him, and it is reasonable for him to kill people. Lao Tzu frowned, he felt that something was wrong. But he didn't know the secrets of the tunnel, so he couldn't guess. Lao Tzu didn't know that in the Zixiao palace, Honghuang Daozu took the netherworld blood sea from the Mosquito Dao people. Is also frowning. Is it a coincidence? Honghuang couldn't figure it out. Lu returned all the way back to Yingzhou Island and entered the abbot's secret realm. In the secret realm, he sensed that Hutu had already fused those laws. Cause and effect, reincarnation, death, earth. Lu Gui himself was nothing, and when Zhen Yuanzi saw that the witch ancestor of the earth had so many laws on his body, he was shocked. After this, the strength of Tuzuwu is terrifying. After Hutu digested what he had gained, he opened his eyes, and the moment he saw Lu Gui, he shouted a word of Xianggong. Zhen Yuanzi suddenly realized that this is not a great ancestor of others. It's a good-looking man. Lu Gui held Hutu's hand. You've refined all the laws, then it's time for us to go somewhere. Hutu and Zhen Yuanzi looked at each other. Lu Gui smiled, and put Hutu and Zhen Yuanzi. You'll know when you go with me. The bottom of the netherworld blood sea. The 3 of Hutu, under the leadership of the Mosquito Dao people, came to the place where the witch sword was refined. The Mosquito Dao people had already slaughtered those demon clans who refined the witch sword. At that time, when the girl saw the place where the witch sword was refined, her expression was still pale. Those Westerners, sentient beings who have not yet been completely killed, ghosts cry wolves. Zhen Yuanzi couldn't help but snort coldly, the demon clan is simply mad when he does this. Lu Gui was non-committal about Zhen Yuanzi's statement. Ho Tu endured his discomfort and asked, Xianggong, what did you bring us to the bottom of the netherworld blood sea for? Lu Gui smiled, you can look at it, and you will know. With a wave of his hand, he shattered the band that imprisoned the Westerners, and those helpless Terran creatures began to slowly disappear in place. Zhen Yuanzi and Hutu, especially Hutu girl, changed their expression slightly. In the eyes of others, these spirits are simply gone. But Hutu could clearly perceive it, and they went deeper. Could it be that this is down here? Below is the 9 shadows, the place where the authentic tunnel is born. Lu Gui revealed the mystery, and Hutu and Zhen Yuanzi suddenly realized. It turns out that Lu Gui took the netherworld blood sea, or in other words, why the souls of the desolate creatures will eventually return to the netherworld blood sea. The mystery has been revealed. Below is the 9 shades, which are tunnels and resting places for souls. Lu Gui held Hutu's hand and ran the supernatural power. The 3 of them immediately came to the 9 shadows. 9 shades, darkness, blindness, and coldness. But Zhen Yuanzi and Hutu felt that it was very warm and close here. When a wool spreads out from the depths of the 9 shadows. Hutu and Zhen Yuanzi almost knelt down. They are the chosen ones and can feel the power of the authentic the most. Especially Hutu, she finally understood what Lu Gui said. The desolate and authentic way is the placenta that gave birth to the Wu clan. I didn't lie to you, did I? When everything is ready, that's when you wake up. Lu Gui passed through the reincarnation of the Taoist, and he could also feel the slight excitement of the desolate tunnel. He said something that he didn't know if he could understand. The reincarnation Taoist appeared beside Lu Gui at this time. 10,000 years later will be the time of the enlightenment. Point 1. A few of you, just retreat here and prepare for the preaching. Zhen Yuanzi and Hutu nodded, and their excitement still couldn't be hidden. When they become sanctified, they no longer have any doubts when they perceive the origin of the earth. The reincarnation Taoist took the 2 of them to sink into the depths of the 9 shadows and began to make final preparations. And Lu Gui returned to the netherworld blood sea, and personally sat in the netherworld blood sea. 10,000 years are fleeting in the flood famine. Over the years, the flood has fallen into an eerie calm. Dao ancestor Hongzhen sat in Xixiao Palace, condensing the netherworld blood sea. How could he think about something wrong all these years? Lu Gui personally sat in the netherworld blood sea and preached for the Azura clan. This seems to support the apprentice's actions, but it makes Hongzhen wonder. 10,000 years later, the 11 ancestors of the Wu clan began to appear, frantically heading towards the direction of the netherworld blood sea. Hongzhen's alertness is mentioned at the highest. When he saw the 12 ancestral witches disappear into the depths of the netherworld blood sea, Hongzhen stood up suddenly. Could it be that the real purpose of the six-eared macaque is? No way, he can't know the secrets of heaven and earth. Just when Hongzhen was in doubt, in the depths of the netherworld sea of blood, the earth sensed the heavens, and the throbbing feeling rose again. She opened her eyes and said to the reincarnation Taoist beside her, "Reincarnation fellow, I think I can already preach." The reincarnation Taoist smiled and nodded. "Hutu Taoist, then let's wake up the desolate tunnel." After he finished speaking, the law of reincarnation in his body evolved into 6 reincarnations. Hutu has the same kind of learning, and it also evolves into 6 paths. These 6 reincarnation supernatural powers originally appeared gradually after the reincarnation of the earth. But both of them learned Lu Gui's 6 reincarnation supernatural powers and evolved in advance. The advantage of this is that Hutu is not an exploration of the future road. It's like an open book exam where the answer is already known, and I know it in my heart. The 2 of them activate the 6 reincarnation supernatural powers. Heaven, man, Azura, beast, hungry ghost, hell, 6 realms of reincarnation. A magnificent breath gradually emerged from under the feet of the reincarnation Taoist. Flood-barren tunnels. Hutu and the reincarnation Taoist glanced at each other and personally projected their consciousness to the past. The beings on the desolation gradually felt that something was wrong with the heavens and the earth. Especially the sage, Kunlun Mountain, the Western Realm, the Snail Palace. The 6 saints of the flood wilderness, sensing the heavenly opportunity, stood up directly. Anyone wants to be sanctified. How do I feel that something big is happening in this desolation? Just when the people of the province were still confused, Hongzhen in Xixiao Palace's face had completely changed. Incarnate reincarnation, Hutu is incarnated in reincarnation. 6 ears, you hide so deeply. Hongzhen gritted his teeth, eager to pinch the 6 ears of the saying above the sea of blood to death. Sure enough, in the next moment, the voice of the earth spread throughout the wilderness. Today, I am behind the earth, sensing the souls of all beings, and there is no place to return. I should incarnate reincarnation and find a shelter for all sentient beings. The authentic is a lesson, today's post-soil, incarnate reincarnation. When Hutu said the word authentic, there was no trace of blood on Hongzhen's face. Authentic, Lure knows the tunnel. You're damned. Hongzhen no longer has a trace of saint spirit, and he is angry. He was furious, rolled the catastrophe, and headed towards the sea of blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 136. Suppressing the desolate realm is the most important part of Hongzhen's calculations when the heavenly Dao pushes the calamity. The heavenly Dao needs to make up for itself, but it doesn't have to calculate the lich. But Hongzhen calculates the lich in order to exalt the way of heaven. In his opinion, suppressing the flood and desolate tunnels is more important than measuring the catastrophe itself. Now the earth incarnates reincarnation, and it is reincarnated outside of his calculations. How can Hongzhen not be angry? The past is recalled in Hongzhen's mind. Only then did he realize that the monkey who was forbidden to enter outside the Zixiao palace in the past had become so powerful. And, he's calculating himself? When Hutu said the authentic moment, Hung Jun completely understood that Luer had been calculating himself. He just wants to wake up. After the earth incarnated into the reincarnation of the avenue of heavenly sound, resounding throughout the desolation dash. The 6 great saints, the 2 emperors of the heavenly court, and the quasi-saints of the flood wilderness were all shocked. Especially, when they saw the heavenly tribulation rolling towards the sea of blood. Only then did the saints' faces really change dramatically. They had never seen that Dao ancestor, who had always been calm, would be so out of shape today. I'll wait, support the master. On Kunlun Mountain, although Sanking didn't know what was happening, he flew towards the netherworld Blood Sea as soon as possible. The 2 saints of the West, the leading Taoist, heard the sound of the reincarnation of the evolution of the earth, and his body trembled. He vaguely felt that after this earth incarnation reincarnation, there are also his benefits. The 2 saints of the West also hurried towards the netherworld Blood Sea. At this time, Lu Gui was above the sea of blood, watching the clouds rolling in. He smiled. Hung Jun is so shameless, which proves that he is really in a hurry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so out of shape. Lu Gui stood up, and the Azura clan, who had been acting with him for thousands of years, retreated into the sea of blood one after another. The mosquito people felt the horror of the thunderstorm and were very frightened. Master! Your master is incarnated as reincarnation, and you apprentice must also help with this. Let's go down. Hung Jun, Laozi is carrying. The mosquito Taoist obediently retreated into the sea of blood, and Lu Gui had already seen from the perspective shared by the reincarnation Taoist at this time that the earth and the will of the earth were fused together. Suddenly, the storm of the sea of blood rolled up, and the waves were monstrous. The moment she made the vow of reincarnation, the merits of the flood converged. However, the irony is that the auspicious clouds of merit and the clouds of heavenly calamity appeared on the sea of blood at the same time. The will of Hung Jun comes. Bumped into Lu Gui. Luer, how do you know the secret of the heavenly Dao? Daozu. Hung Jun was already angry and asked Lu Gui directly. Lu Gui smiled. Hung Jun, do you know about a bloody case caused by steamed buns? Hung Jun? It's okay if you don't know, I just want to tell you that you will regret it for the rest of your life if you shut me out that day. Today's tunnel awakening, the flood is no longer the only way of heaven. You heavenly Dao, get out of the way for me. Hung Jun has not yet made a difficulty, and Lu Gui took the lead. He Hongmeng sword gourd, burst out with hundreds of millions of sword chi, directly turned into a storm, and killed the other party. Hung Jun robbed the thunder and fell directly. Bang! Luer and Tiandao. Hung Jun made a move. The sea of blood instantly transpires half. The battle of saints is terrifying. Hung Jun made a move, and Lu Gui's blood disappeared in an instant. But Hung Jun's shock was even greater than that of Lu Gui. Mixed element. Yay! When Hung Jun found out that Lu Gui was already a mixed UN8 heavens, he was so shocked that his scalp was numb. Mixed UN Sage 8-fold, if Hung Jun shoots with all his might. Lu Gui is still not his opponent. But just as he had scruples back then, Daozu must have a reason for making a move. Hung Jun can't shoot casually. With this kind of strength, he is already invincible. Where do you get the resources? Hung Jun's voice was so gloomy that it was about to sink into the water. Lu Gui smiled, you guess. Humph. Lu Gui's flirtation made Hung Jun angry. He struck the next blow, with greater force, and suppressed it. Saint 12. This time, Lu Gui really sensed Hung Jun's power. His expression changed slightly. The Saint realm, 7th, 9th, and 12th, is a big pass, and after passing it, the combat effectiveness will be significantly improved. The realm is the perfection of the saint, and it can be used with the help of power. Honghuang. Seeing that the thunderstorm was coming, Lu Gui behind him, out of the country. The laws of time and space, under the control of the Kalachakra Lord Heavenly Taoists, directly control the entire sea of blood. The law of time and space is your. The moment Honghuang saw the law of time and space, his voice trembled again. Lu Gui's whole cards have been played one after another, and each one of them makes him frightened. This person, don't stay. Honghuang really had great killing intent towards Lu Gui. Even if he relied on the heavenly Dao to fight back, he would also kill Lu Gui. But Lu Gui, how can he do what he wants? Good and evil are rewarded, good is rewarded. Good and evil will be rewarded, evil will be rewarded. Lu Gui ignited his good karma in the boundary of time and space, and his strength skyrocketed layer by layer. At the same time, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes, igniting Honghuang's bad karma. In an instant, he sensed the karmic fire burning on his body, and poured out along the thunder. In the entire sea of blood and air, the thunderstorm was burned red by karmic fire. This causal supernatural power actually directly acted on his heavenly path. Under Honghuang's pain, the thunder still headed towards Lu Gui. The kingdom of Kalacha of Lu Gui evolved time and space, trapping the thunder in time and space. Bang! The sea of blood was almost subdued by the battle between Lu Gui and Honghuang. Lu Gui's face sank like water, and the Kalachakra country was regarded as a great avenue, and finally blocked the thunder for a moment. But his strength is too far from Honghuang. Time and space still can't suppress the catastrophe, Lu Gui sneered, Hongmeng sword in hand. Time and space sword chi, creation sword chi, chaos sword chi, Hongmeng sword chi. The four great sword chi turned into a multicolored giant sword. The phantom of the Hongmeng holy sword looms. Chaos. If one avenue is not enough, then come to the chaos supernatural power. Chop the chaos in one place, and everything is silent. Endless sword chi slashed above Honghuang's thunder. Honghuang's face is like iron blue. Hongmeng holy sword, Pangu divine power. The moment he said this, the thunder dissipated. Lu returned to a sword, slashing the sea of blood, and the sky was clear. Master Daozu. The saint, who is rushing to the sea of blood, looks at the outcome of this battle from afar. Shocked. This monkey has once again sent Dao ancestor back. In the Zixiao palace, Honghuang stood up suddenly. He took a deep breath and prepared to make his own move. At this time, Honghuang suddenly sensed that the auspicious clouds of merit above the sea of blood instantly condensed to the extreme. Rumble. The great emperor shook, and the entire netherworld blood sea suddenly collapsed. A magnificent, terrifying aura directly permeated the entire desolation. Although this aura is not strong, the essence of power is beyond all else. Heavenly Dao. Those immortals who didn't know the authenticity changed color one after another. Authentic, awakened. Honghuang took a deep breath and watched as the sea of blood suddenly sank and disappeared into the desolation. Lu Gui stood on top of the sea of blood and looked at Zixiao Palace from afar. The eyes of the two of them still looked at each other. The netherworld is formed. Lu'er, you think it's over? Honghuang shouted angrily, rolled up countless laws, and spread towards the place where the sea of blood disappeared. The netherworld blood sea disappeared. What's going on? The 6 saints were stunned when they looked at the area that was suddenly vacated by the flood wilderness. The netherworld blood sea, which has existed since ancient times, disappeared directly from the desolation. In its place was a force that gradually merged with the earth. Today, I will build the underworld behind me. Today, I will be reincarnated after the earth. From now on, all beings in the desolation can enter the netherworld if they die. Authentic is the cycle of life and death of all living beings is endless. The voice of Hutu continued to reverberate above the desolation. A law that appears between heaven and earth. The immortals of the desolation suddenly had a kind of enlightenment in their hearts. Heaven and earth are divided into yin and yang. The netherworld is the place where the souls of the dead take refuge after death. There, sentient beings are taken by the law of reincarnation and reincarnated in the wilderness. From now on, the desolation is yang, and the underworld is yin. Yin and yang rotation. The desolate world has become more perfect. At this time, it is a great merit and a great joy for all sentient beings in the wilderness. After the soil preached, the water came naturally. The moment Hutu shouted these words, those merits in the sea of blood were directly injected into the unknowable depths of the netherworld. Hutu girl, standing in the chaos, washed away by merit. Her body, gradually dissipating. Her cultivation has vaguely broken through the barrier. To be sanctified. At this time, a force of the law suddenly broke into the netherworld, trying to take over the netherworld that had not yet fully evolved. Hutu seemed to be prepared, and smiled lightly. 6 reincarnations. She directly used the 6 reincarnation supernatural powers to create the first merit mark for this netherworld chaos. How is that possible? Hongjuan's plot fell short. He was so angry that he couldn't help but make a sound. Xianggong said, "You Hongjun bullied the little girl, I have no primordial god, and plotted against me before the law of netherworld evolution. Xianggong is clever, how could Dao ancestor never think that Hutu has already comprehended the law of reincarnation in advance?" Hutu's words made Hongjun so depressed that he almost vomited a mouthful of blood. At the moment when Hutu pointed out the law of reincarnation, she smiled lightly. The bright smile fell in Hongjun's eyes, but it was like a devil. When the law of reincarnation was ignited, Hongjun saw the wisps of purple qi on Hutu's body, which was clearly the dynamic of refining Hongmen's purple qi. "Where did you get the Hongmeng purple qi?" Hongjun almost went crazy, every step of the way exceeded his expectations. In the future, there may be enough Hongmeng purple qi for other people to preach saints, but now it is impossible to have Hongmeng purple qi for Hutu. There is purple qi on Hutu's body, and it is only possible to come from one place. 6 heirs, the mysterious 6 heirs. Hongjun thought of this, and couldn't help but grit his teeth. Daozu, don't send it. When the moment of ignition of reincarnation, the soil refining purple qi and the merit of the Tao have come to fruition. Hongjun is still a little unwilling, but at this time, the back soil retreats into darkness. He was shocked to find that the 12 ancestral witches had been waiting here for a long time. "Hongjun, I have all the means you can think of. Die this heart before it's too late." Lu Gui's sarcastic voice came out of Hongjun's ears, and Hongjun was angry to death by Lu Gui. He was indeed ready to pull down his face and make a move. Euro. Even if you suffer the backlash of the heavenly Dao, you have to take action. He also has a chance to make a move. Reincarnation evolves, it takes time. But after the earth retreated into darkness, a Pangu giant appeared in the underworld that had not yet evolved. Directly extinguish Hongjun's last hope. Open the sky. Hutu presided over the 12 heavenly evil god array, and the 12 ancestors joined forces to strike a blow to open the sky. The chaos of the netherworld was broken in an instant. The will of the desolate desolation that has been limited awakens. Get out. Hongjun clearly sensed that the desolate tunnel did not welcome his breath. In the next moment, he was blasted out of the netherworld. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 heirs. Chapter 137. The netherworld, the land of the 9 netherworlds, gradually evolves. The 12 ancestral witches incarnated Pangu, and after splitting the chaos, they poured into Panzan's body. Pangu's true body turned into 12 ancestral witches. Sister. Xianming was shocked to find that Hutu's body gradually dissolved and melted. Her flesh and blood are scattered in the newborn underworld. The will of the wilderness is wrapped up. When Hutu's body completely disappeared, the 12 witches felt empty. They had a hunch that even if Hutu came again, they would no longer be ancestors. In the next moment, countless golden lights of merit converged. In front of the 12 ancestral witches, Hutu's body gradually changed from illusory to physical. Her body is surrounded by merit. At this time, the earth has been transformed into a saint. The law of reincarnation, the law of cause and effect, the law of death. After the earth is circulating all the rules about the tunnel. When she opened her eyes, she was instantly shocked. Today, I am reincarnated in the earth and preached the Tao. I put my own body in fear for all beings. Call yourself peaceful. The moment Hutu said this, the flood moved. Authentic. This term appeared in the ears of the desolate creatures. It turns out that outside of the heavenly Dao, there is also the authentic Dao. Hutu ancestor Wu is the first saint of the tunnel, isn't it the same as Dao Zhejian, 87-0? The great powers of the wilderness have enlightenment in their hearts. It turns out that the flood is not only the way of heaven, but only the sky. This kind of belief, passed on, is the place that Hong fears the most. Because the way of heaven is unique, it is the knowledge that Hong Jun has lost and guided for many years. Now, because of the six-eared macaque, because of the queen, it was finally beaten. The saint preached, and merit was born. Authentic merit is not like auspicious clouds and heavenly generals, but earthly golden lotus. The merits of the sky directly share the famine. Many great powers who are related to the earth have gained merit from the earth, and their cultivation has increased greatly. The way of heaven has the position of a saint, and the way of the earth also has it. Is that so? We can seek the holy throne in the tunnels. Some of the desolate powers with active minds have thought of this kind of can, and have begun to look for the entrance to the underworld. I want to visit Hutu, the new authentic saint. At this time, the netherworld. The earth condenses the body of a saint and gives birth to reincarnation. She quickly operated the 6 reincarnation supernatural powers and fixed the 6 reincarnations. Lu Gui and his doppelganger reincarnation Taoist are frequent. Because he obtained the 6 reincarnation supernatural powers in advance, he had the transformation of the netherworld much faster than originally planned. In fact, if it weren't for the 12 ancestors, the netherworld would have been counted as the Earth Enlightenment Dao that wanted to evolve. I don't know how many years it would take. The evolution of the netherworld, the core is in the Hutu, and it is not only the matter of the Hutu, it is the entire witch hand. Hong Jun is taking advantage of this point to make Ho Tukang reincarnate. In the gap between the evolution of the netherworld, the unawakened tunnel and the birth of the law, there is a chance to make a move. Now, none of these conditions have happened because of the return of land. The netherworld evolves better than imagined. After the birth of the law, the hidden danger of killing witches in her body disappeared in an instant. At the same time, merit gushed out of the desolate tunnels and turned into 11 lotuses. Wisps of soul laws came towards the 12 ancestors. The 12 ancestral witches, wrapped in the golden lotus of merit, brushed his whole body, and he was shocked to find that there was something strange in his body. Genshin, we have given birth to Genshin. Was the first to find that there was an extra wisp of divine mystery in his body, and he screamed with joy. The other ancestors shook one after another. Genshin, the Wu clan has Genshin? Dizhang and others probed their bodies one after another, and waited until they found that they had really born a god. The 12 ancestral witches were so excited that they burst into tears. The original god is of great significance to the Wu clan. Although the Wu clan is extremely powerful and suppresses the flood, because there is no god, it is a missing body after all. For the saints of the Enlightenment, most of the ways they can't think of it. The Wu clan is like being cursed, they can only watch others gradually move forward, they wait there, hopeless. From now on, we have saints. From now on, my witch clan has a primordial god. Dejong, Gong Gong Zurong and others, looking up to the sky and angry, the heavens and the earth shook. Dash. He guessed correctly, as a special species of Pangujing and Honghuang underground Dao breeding, the Wu clan was no longer a crippled body when the tunnel was born. Hung Jun's calculation was completely in vain. The ancestral witch roared angrily, not alarming the outside world, but the Jun body in the Zixiao palace spit out. But that's not all. After the Wu clan possessed the primordial god, there was a powerful golden light in the netherworld, and the amount that made people tremble was transmitted. Someone else preaching. Hung Jun, the six sages, and the great powers of the Great Desolation felt that this power had changed greatly. At this time, the netherworld, who to completely grasp the power of the saints. The reincarnation Taoist beside Lu Gui, lightly. Fellow Taoist, it's my turn. He stepped on the earth, a prosperous lotus, directly appeared in the center of the netherworld. The 12 ancestral witches were dumbfounded. The lotus blossom of this reincarnation person was hundreds of years older than them. This also means that the merit reward for reincarnation Taoists is 100-fold. The reincarnation of the poor path is the reincarnation of the purple lotus. Today in the tunnel, the authentic person. The reincarnation of the Taoist did not choose to retreat like the heavenly Dao people, but directly proved sanctification. He absorbed the golden lotus of the prosperous world in one breath, and he also turned into a purple lotus. Above the purple lotus, rippling this reincarnation method. At this time, suddenly, a magic weapon was directly thrown into the lotus body. Boom! A huge lotus flower appeared in the desolate world. The beings were shocked. On the reincarnation purple lotus, there are 6 petals. Each petal represents one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. The reincarnation purple lotus seems to be the body of the law of reincarnation. The desolate beings, looking at this reincarnation purple lotus, have an almost impulse. Reincarnation Taoists, as if they are in control, everyone lives and dies. After the birth of the netherworld, as long as all beings are saints, they will die in the netherworld. Those who enter the underworld will be taken by the reincarnation Taoists. Now, it's really a reincarnation Taoist. Lu Gui was in the netherworld, looking at the authority of the reincarnation Dao saint, and couldn't help it. The authentic seems to be wrong about this little brother who has been with him a lot. After the earth incarnated into reincarnation and opened up the netherworld, he was the leader of reincarnation. The authority of reincarnation is given to the reincarnation people. The reincarnation Taoist, because of this authority, was successfully promoted to the chaos level, and finally completely controlled the 6. In other words, the reincarnation of the Taoist is the 6 paths themselves, the roots. The authority of the reincarnation Taoist friend is not under the Ho soil. Lu Gui originally thought that his reincarnation path could only be a saint at most. Among his 3 major doppelgangers, the reincarnation path is the weakest. There are 36 worlds in the heavenly Dao people, and the Dao people have the bonus of human race. Only the reincarnation Taoist, that is, an ordinary superb innate treasure. If it weren't for the cultivation of the authenticity over the years, I'm afraid the saints wouldn't be able to prove it. The moment when the reincarnation purple lotus appeared, it has been proven that there are saints in the tunnel. The rest of the people in the flood wilderness went crazy, and they were even more crazy about the sea of blood rushing to the original place, trying to find the opportunity to become holy. At this time, Hung Jun was driven out of the tunnel. Looking at the huge Dharma body of the reincarnation Daoist, he almost couldn't lift it in one breath. Was driven away by the tunnel, Hung Jun didn't care. But there are 2 more saints in the tunnel all of a sudden, and Jun is really anxious. Heaven and earth are not personal gods. Although they are powerful, they also have many shortcomings. Don't look at the authentic Hung Jun coming out of the netherworld. The heavenly laws of Hung Jun's body are not welcomed by the earth. The tunnels drive him away, but they don't hate him. The birth of the Honghuang tunnel, since it is already a note, Hongzhen can only accept reality. But if there are too many authentic saints, the harm to Hong will be great. Heaven and earth, the reason why there will be a saint position. To a large extent, it's because the saints are able to make up for their inadequacy. If the saint of the earth is just a descendant, Hongzhen can still slowly figure it out after accepting the reality. If too many saints preach, it will be 10 times more difficult for him to pay the truth in the future. When did this reincarnation Taoist come out? Hongzhen was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. After the reincarnation of the Taoist preaches, it represents the laws of the netherworld, and it is perfected in one step. At this time, the desolate beings began to drift from a distance, heading towards a knowable place. In an instant, they disappeared above the desolation. The law of reincarnation is coming into play. The mighty people of the wilderness, with a fanatical light in their eyes. The tunnel is above, I am willing to take refuge in the tunnel. Does the netherworld still need an immortal? We're willing to go to the netherworld. These great powers, in order to preach the Tao, are really embarrassed, and they are begging and praying for the land behind the Tao. But some people, even if they want to, kneel. Above the heavenly court, Emperor Jun, Tai. It's been a complete panic. After the soil became sanctified, it also activated the flood wasteland and became an authentic person. Since then, there have been saints in the Wu clan who do not say. I don't know if there will be anyone else in the future. A saint who controls the netherworld, how can this 2.0 clan fight? Let the warriors of the demon clan, how dare they fight? Today I beat the Wu people to death in the sun. After he dies, he will go to the underworld to be counted by the Wu clan. Dijun and Taiyi knew that the demon clan Qi had lost just by imagining this possibility. There is absolutely no chance of winning. Heaven is the best of my emperor. Dijun couldn't help but look up to the sky and sighed. Tai stood next to the eldest brother, and silently clenched his fists. Ever since I was rescued by Dao ancestor and healed my injuries, I have been decadent. If I don't preach the saint again, I'm afraid that the heavenly court will be finished. Just when Daijun, Tai, and others were desperate, something that made them even more desperate happened. In the netherworld, after the reincarnation of the Taoist is sanctified, when Hutu came to Lu Gui's side, another blood-colored lotus flower appeared on the Mosquito Road. The Mosquito Path people were very excited when they sensed the message of the authentic merits. At this time, Lu Gui suddenly popped out a wisp of Hongmeng Qi and landed on her. Originally, I kept it for your senior brother, but it was cheap first. When the Mosquito people heard this, they were pleasantly surprised. Thank you, Master. The Mosquito Dao people instantly refined Hongmeng Purple Qi and devoured the merits of the Blood Lotus. Suddenly, she also saw the authority of the authentic self opening. The Mosquito Taoist cut out a wisp of divine soul and landed on the road. She also began to be sanctified. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 138. I, Mosquito Man, smell the fragrance. Today, I will help the netherworld to open up merit and become holy. Smell. Burst. When Lu Gui heard the oath of the Mosquito Taoist, he almost spurted out a mouthful of old blood. He looked at his disciple inexplicably. When did she get this name? Girl, you are a mosquito, named Mosquito Coil, is it really good? Lu Gui looked at the Mosquito Dao man with a little sympathy. I don't know which person with a lack of heart and eyes helped her take this name. Xianggong, what's wrong? The Hutu girl who had just preached the saint directly took Lu Gui's hand. Isn't the name smelling fragrance good? Nice, nice. Lu Gui wiped a handful of cold sweat and turned to the Mosquito Taoist who was preaching. The position of a saint on the Mosquito Path man should have been the ancestor of the Styx. The netherworld blood sea sank into the 9 netherworlds, and under the power of the Hutu, it evolved into a part of the netherworld. As the master of the blood sea, he naturally has great merit. The Styx ancestor hated Lugoi's heart, and Lugoi killed him and let the Mosquito Dao people replace him. As a sentient being in the blood sea, the Mosquito Dao people who are still on the river Styx can easily gain control of the blood sea. Now the tunnel has awakened, and the netherworld has been born. The position of the saint of the Mosquito Road man is a matter of course. Originally, if there was no Honghuang purple chi, it would take at least 10,000 years for the Mosquito Dao people to be able to give Honghuang purple chi to the Dao by relying on the authentic tunnel after the evolution was complete. But Lugoi has Honghuang purple chi in his hand, so he naturally has to use it for his apprentice first. The tunnel was born, and Hung Jun was eyeing it. There must be a few more saints to help the Dao maintain its authority, so as not to be taken advantage of by the Dao ancestors. Sure enough, after the news of the 16 sermons of the Mosquito Taoist was spread throughout the famine, Hung Jun's brain exploded like a buzz. How is it possible? How can there be so many saints? He roared in the sky, like madness. The 3 authentic saints are enough to stabilize the newly born netherworld. But that's not all. Lugoi is destined to let everyone in the flood wilderness remember this day forever. The wild Honghuang purple chi in his hand now has been used up. But there is still a wisp that is reserved for the Kongtong Dao people. Kongtong Dao is humane, it will take a while. I have a good chance to get Honghuang purple chi. Use it for Zhen Yuanzi first. Lugoi looked back at Zhen Yuanzi, who looked at the Mosquito Taoist and the saint, if he was lost. He smiled. The netherworld was born. If you talk about contribution, in fact, Zhen Yuanzi's contribution is still above the Mosquito people. This time he was completely prepared. Hutu activated the flood desolate tunnel and turned the 9 shadows into the netherworld, which is naturally the first saint of the tunnel. The reincarnation of the Taoist, the cultivation of the authentic, also incarnated as reincarnation, and the Hutu alongside. He is the second saint of the tunnel. This third saint was supposed to be Zhen Yuanzi, although he was not obvious. In fact, under the guidance of Lugoi, he used the earth book to suppress the earth's chi. Only then did the 9 shadows smoothly transform the netherworld. At this time, Zhen Yuanzi is also one of the innate demon gods of the netherworld, and his heels have long been promoted to chaos. It's just that without the help of the netherworld blood sea, he is inferior to the Mosquito Dao people after all. And without Honghuang purple chi, Zhen Yuanzi would not be able to preach immediately. If he wants to be a saint, he must wait for the desolate tunnel to gradually become complete and be able to separate the Honghuang purple chi. Or instead of relying on Honghuang purple chi, it takes millions of years to condense and refine the merits. Finally, strive for a glimmer of life. Janai Yuanzi Daiu, take it to. Lugoi casually threw the Honghuang purple chi of Kongtong Daoist to Zhen Yuanzi. Zhen Yuanzi was stunned for a moment, and it was not until Honghuang's purple chi fell into his hand that he showed a touched look. 6-eared Daoist, thank you for your great kindness. In the future, I will be the head of the town for you. When he finished speaking, he laughed, and the knot in his chest was gone. Zhen Yuanzi raised a high mountain on the ground and looked at the flood. The book from the ground in his hand disappeared in front of Zhen Yuanzi's eyes. Zhen Yuanzi, to suppress the netherworld foundation merit. Today, in the midst of the desolate tunnels, preach and become holy. The 2 ways of heaven and earth, go hand in hand, and it is my way. Up. Zhen Yuanzi stood on top of a high mountain and directly pulled up a mountain peak. This mountain peak actually passes directly through the netherworld and the desolation. A towering mountain, out of the flood realm, where the netherworld blood sea used to be. This mountain is called Mount Tai, for life, for the yin and yang world, for the ghost gate. All living beings return to Mount Tai, judge good and evil, and then they can be reincarnated. Alit. Lu Gui saw the movement of Zhen Yuanzi's preaching, and couldn't help but complain. Taishan Mansion? Is this still the Tarzan of the future? The one who is in Taishan Mansion holds the authority of life and death. Unify yin and yang, determine good and evil. It is the first god of the underworld to appear. Zhen Yuanzi is the first Taishan Mansion Jun. Fellow Taoist, this style of painting is not quite right. Lu Gui himself was dumbfounded. The Taishan Mansion Jun in his memory was by no means Zhen Yuanzi. The future Mount Tai, whether it has appeared in the flood is unknown. After all, the desolate world he was familiar with, after being consecrated as a god, would be beaten to pieces by saints. The last remaining earth immortal realm is the main body of the journey to the west. Lu Gui thought about it for a while, pinched his fingers, and understood. Mount Tai is an authentic totem. It is the authentic luck after the fall of Buzhu Mountain. It is destined to appear above the world. The original Hutu preaching was plotted by Honghuang, and if it can't be revealed, there will naturally be no Mount Tai. As for Mount Tai after the journey to the west, perhaps Honghuang has completely controlled the authority of the tunnel, and the tunnel belongs to the heavenly Dao. At that time, there was the Emperor Dongyu, the great god of the heavenly court, who established the 72 divisions of Mount Tai. But that Mount Tai is too far behind Zhen Yuanzi. After the earth creates reincarnation, the reincarnation of the Taoist is reincarnated, and the town of Yuanzi is through yin and yang. I'm afraid that Honghuang Lao is already so angry that he vomits blood, right? As soon as this Taishan Mansion came out, the authority of the tunnel was stable. Lu Gui watched the birth of Taishan Mansion from afar, and was responsible for the waste of the Hutu saint, laughing. Zhen Yuanzi is worthy of being an authentic heavenly chosen saint, and Taishan Mansion is equivalent to an authentic heavenly court. When he set up Mount Tai Mansion, the entire desolate beings were instantly shocked. At the same time, those ghostly spirits who were on refuge flew directly towards Taishan Mansion as if they had found their hometown. The first Taishan Mansion Jun, the sage Zhen Yuanzi, suppressed the quartet. Burst. In the heavenly court, Dijun directly vomited a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. Heavenly court, Taishan Mansion. Corresponding to the two major institutions of heaven and earth. The Taishan Mansion is a sage. How can he, the emperor of heaven, compare with others? Dijun was so depressed that he vomited blood, and Honghuang was no better? 6 aired, is that you? In a few days, it takes tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years, to complete the road that normally takes tens of thousands of years. The saints who are rarely preached in ordinary times appear as frequently as dumplings. As a desolate heavenly Dao, Hongzhen's anger attracted boundless heavenly calamity. He couldn't wait to directly destroy the 6 ears that destroyed his calculations, as well as the Taishan Mansion that had appeared. However, he can't make a move. The tunnel is awakened. If he dares to make a move, it will be directly against the desolate tunnel. Although the power of the earth is not as good as that of the heavenly way, it is also a part of the flood wilderness. Although the tunnel is weak, it is also one of the underlying laws of the flood famine. If heaven and earth contend, if one is not good, it will cause a flood and collapse. This kind of collapse is not a repetition of the earth, water, fire, and wind of the saints, but a complete destruction. Teacher. 3 Qing and 2 sages, according to Hongzhen's robbery clouds, found Hongzhen, looked at the Dao ancestor body, and was so angry that he couldn't stand still. Laozi hurried over to help Hongzhen. 6 aired, okay. Teacher, what should we do? Laozi walked up to Hongzhen and asked softly. Hongzhen took a deep breath. The heavenly Dao saints are 9, the authentic saints are 6, and now the 4 great saints of the authentic Dao. The authority of heaven and earth is secure. Wait, I don't care what method you use. Under the tunnel, under the netherworld, there are still 2 saints, they must be snatched over. At least, Grab one. 3 clear and 2 saints, looking at each other. How to grab an authentic saint? Lao Tzu understood, the teacher wants us to send someone into the netherworld and preach in the tunnel. But the relationship between heaven and earth, I'm afraid it's. Honghuang shook his head. Don't treat the authentic as a human being, it is also fair and selfless, indifferent and ruthless. As long as it is beneficial to it, our people will naturally be able to achieve sanctification. You must install some people into the netherworld, and we must have some nether authority. Honghuang's words made Sanking look at each other. You don't have to be afraid, the authentic background is not as good as the heavenly Dao, Zhen Yuanzi, and their Taoism, and their cultivation is not as good as you. 6 aired, I'll help you continue. Other saints, you can do it, even if it is to cause a calamity, you have to do it for me. Honghuang's words were terrifying, and the 3 clear and 2 saints nodded quickly. When you do a good job, I won't treat you badly. After Honghuang finished speaking, he turned around and left. When the 5 great saints saw the appearance of Honghuang 850, they actually felt that Dao ancestor was a little lonely. Pick up the Taoist and the quasi-Taoist and look at each other. Dao Zhu's words are exactly what they want. After the netherworld was opened, the Daoist vaguely felt that he had an opportunity. They glanced at Taishan Mansion and turned back to the west. Lao Tzu in the 3 Qings, closed his eyes and pondered, and finally turned around and left. As soon as he left, Yuan Shi and Sanking followed. The 5 saints disappeared in the wilderness. But the last heavenly Dao Saint Nuwa flew straight from Mount Tai Mansion into the netherworld. Lu Gui's gaze just retracted from the direction where Honghuang disappeared. When she saw Nuwa coming, she pulled Nuwa over. You came just in time, the 3 marriages of heaven, earth, and man are all together. Ahh. Nuwa didn't expect the dead monkey to say this, and her whole face turned red. She looked at Lu Gui curiously. Lu Gui smiled. When he summoned the Kongtong Daoist, Nuwa saw the humane look on the Kongtong Daoist, and her color changed instantly. You are the... who created man? No, you're also a monkey clone. Poor Dao Kongtong Daoist, I have seen Nuwa Dao. The people of Kongtong Dao smiled and turned into a Kongtong seal, and the humanitarian merits lingered. Terran luck treasure. Dead monkey, you deceived me so badly. Kongtong Daoist self-reported his identity, and Nuwa immediately understood. Since the doppelganger of the monkey is a humane treasure, that is, as long as he is married. The second marriage of heaven and man is on him. And the land marriage, Nuwa glanced at the back soil in front of her. The wedding of the first saint in the tunnel is naturally a ground marriage. She suddenly understood Lu Gui's thoughts, and her face turned red. Afterwards, we still have some things to deal with. Lu Gui glanced at Hutu. Hutu smiled, and then looked at the 12 ancestors. Dijiang understands the meaning of Hutu. He wields mana, and the great Dao Tianyin. I, Dijiang, in the name of the ancestor of the Wu clan, declare the world. From today on, the Wu clan will withdraw from the flood famine, and all kinds of causes and effects in the past have nothing to do with the Wu clan. Dijiang's words spread all over the world. In Zixiao Palace, Honghuang finally spit out his old blood. Luer, do you still know the secret of the calamity? Honghuang turned his head and stared at the netherworld underscore. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 139. The news announced by the ancestor Wu Emperor Zhang shocked all the living beings in the wilderness. The Wu clan is a well-deserved overlord of the earth since the flood and the dragon and Han tribulation. In the era when sentient beings were still golden immortals, De Luo Jinxian, the 12 ancestors were all quasi-saints. Later, Daozu preached, quasi-saint like a dog. The 12 ancestral witches and the Wu clan are still the strongest existence in the flood wilderness, and the Wu clan is also the strongest race in the flood wilderness. The lich measures the calamity, how much power is unified behind the demon clan. Still being pressed and beaten by the Wu clan. Such a race, now there is a reincarnation of the great sage of peace, Ho Tu Niang Niang, the saint. The momentum should have been in full swing. But I didn't expect that the Wu clan would actually withdraw from the flood wilderness. The desolate beings had different reactions. The happiest, of course, is none other than the heavenly court Emperor Jun, Tai, who feels that he should already prepare for the future. The two looked at each other in disbelief. The war that heavenly court and the Wu clan only saw was over. Big brother, God help me heavenly court. Tai was so excited that he burst into tears, and Daijun nodded frequently. At the same time, the two were also stunned. It took them so many years to collect those witch-killing swords, and now they don't need them. But it's always a good thing compared to killing. The other great religions of the flood famine, most of them are powerful. Most of them were ecstatic at the news of the Wu clan's withdrawal from the flood wilderness. The Wu clan doesn't know how many flood resources they have controlled over the years, if they withdraw from the flood and enter the netherworld. The vacated sphere of influence is enough for many people to eat a lot of money. It can be said that for most people, it's a great event. However, some people are not happy. Sanking, Ershen, these saints who know the secret of heaven and earth, are like being hit in the head by a sledgehammer, and they are directly confused. And on the Zixiao palace, Hongjun Daozu was even more angry, and spit out several mouthfuls of blood. The rolling clouds of calamity were densely spread around Zixiao palace. Tongzi Yaokai and Haoshan shrank in the corner, trembling. They had never seen such a Hongjun Dao ancestor. Hongjun was not angry to death by the 6 ears, and he was already considered to have a deep Dao heart. The Lich's tribulation is a calculation that Hongjun has been advancing since he was a saint. There are 2 parts to the meaning of the Lich tribulation. One is to use the killing machine of the Lich war to make up for the heavenly Dao, and at the same time make way for the Lich to rise to the Terrans. The other is to use the Wu clan to calculate the flood desolate tunnels and limit the desolate tunnels to the extent that they will never wake up. One of them, Hongjun has failed. But the other, which was not very important in his mind, was also very important. The heaven and earth tribulation was originally the heavenly Dao to complete itself and promote the tribulation. The relationship between Hongjun and heavenly Dao is very delicate. In a sense, Hongjun is the way of heaven itself. But he is not really a substitute for the heavenly Dao after all. If you have to make an analogy, the heavenly Dao is the system of the flood desolation, and Hongjun is the administrator with the highest authority. He can replace the heavenly Dao for many things, but he is also bound by the heavenly Dao. The Lich measuring tribulation is promoted by Hongjun and the way of heaven. The heavenly Dao doesn't care who responds to the tribulation, as long as the calamity can be advanced, it doesn't matter. Hongjun chose the Lich to be robbed and carried by heaven, which was originally very smooth. But if the Wu clan withdraws from the flood, there will be fewer people who should be robbed. If the calamity can't be completed, I am afraid that even the saints will not be able to withstand the storm. If the calamity is not crossed, the heavenly Dao will trigger the killing of heaven and earth, and then select sentient beings to enter the calamity. When the time comes, even saints may not be able to escape. Every time Hongjun thought of this result, he was so angry that he wanted to kill Luer. No, the Wu clan can't get out of the robbery. Even if I get out of the robbery, I won't let you go. Dao ancestors' roar came from within Zixiao Palace. It's a pity that Lu Gui can't hear this. After the Wu clan's emperor Zhangzu Wu announced that the Wu clan had withdrawn from the flood wilderness. After beginning to prepare for the withdrawal of the Wu clan from the desolation. The first major clan in the flood famine, the kung fu in this is not made in a day. And there's a lot of issues involved. For example, the issue of the Wu clan, such as the netherworld, is it suitable for the survival of the clan? Lu Gui, Hutu, Nuwa, and others began to wander in the netherworld that had just appeared. The underworld is the dark side of the desolation, a place for wandering souls to dwell. But it doesn't mean that there can't be living people in the netherworld. For example, the netherworld Blood Sea, with the reincarnation of the post-Earth body, fell directly into the netherworld. The Azura clan is very well adapted to the netherworld environment. Compared to the Azura clan, the Wu clan is more suitable for the netherworld. They were originally the Earth race, and the turbid chi of the Earth was nurtured, compared to the aura that the desolate world could not absorb. The boundless netherworld aura here was the food and nutrients of the Witch clan. With the netherworld aura, the Wu clan is much less dependent on food. Naturally, they don't have to hunt the demon clan like in the desolate world and become the enemy of all beings. Not to mention, the 12 ancestral witches now have a primordial god. The ancestral witch who has completed himself can already cultivate the Dao law. The Wu clan is in the netherworld, and maybe there will be many mixed Yuendaluo golden immortals in the future. Lu Gui experienced other worlds before he understood the importance of the mixed Yuendaluo golden immortal. A big world, like a flood. If the saint is a god and works under the heavens, that mixed Yuendaluo Jin immortal is an immortal, with the power of a saint, but he is not restricted by the position of a heavenly saint. They don't have the ability of a saint to be immortal, nor do they have the convenience of a saint to use the power of the heavenly Dao. But the number of mixed Yuendaluo golden immortals is the future of a world. The saint and the mixed Yuendaluo Jin immortal originally complemented each other. It's a pity that Hongjun doesn't like the existence of mixed Yuendaluo Jinxian. These outliers who are free from the control of the heavenly Dao, for Dao ancestor Hongjun, who has a strong desire to control. It's an outlier that must be destroyed. He even wants to suppress the authenticity and humanity, let alone the mixed Yuendaluo Jin immortal. If I can get the ability to shuttle through the 10,000 realms, it will be inevitable that there will be no great Dao saint society in the heavens and 10,000 realms. If the flood is unlucky enough, it can intersect with other worlds. There are enough saints to be the walls and moats of a world. It's a pity that the pattern of Hongjun Lao is still lower. When Lu Gui complained in his heart about Daozu Hongjun, Hutu suddenly sighed. He turned his attention to the girl, and he followed the girl's gaze. Many demon gods born in chaos have been discovered. Just like a desolation, after the 12 ancestors split the chaos of the netherworld. There are also pure chi that rises to become the heavens of the netherworld, and earth chi that descends to become the netherworld. Zhen Yuanzi got the netherworld and cleared the air, directly pulled out a Mount Tai, penetrated the netherworld, and became the first generation of Taishan Mansion Jun. The earthly chi of the netherworld also gives birth to many living beings. These demon gods are the innate demon gods of the netherworld. Although it is not as good as the chaos demon god of the flood desolation, it is also the strongest existence of the netherworld. These spirit fetuses have not yet been born. But when the three major saints approached, especially the first saint of the netherworld, they all moved. This is good. Taishan Mansion runs through yin and yang, and holds life and death, good and evil. But the power of reincarnation will ultimately fall on these people. Lu Gui smiled lightly, he knew the future direction of the world. Taishan Mansion Jun is indeed the first generation of the god of the underworld, and Taishan Mansion runs through yin and yang, leading all beings into the underworld. It's just a stopgap measure. The strength of the tunnel is not complete now. The heavenly court, which belongs exclusively to the netherworld, has not fully evolved. When the laws of the netherworld are complete, Taishan Mansion will take a back seat, and the real rising force is the underworld. These demon gods are the future masters of the underworld. The netherworld and the underworld in Lu Gui's mind, because Hongjun counts the earth and the earth after death, and he is only a vassal of the heavenly Dao. The underworld in his memory, even the heavenly court can command it. A small Tai golden immortal Sun Wukong can enter the underworld and change the results in the book of life and death at will. After being calculated by Hung Jun, the authority of the earth was completely subordinated to the way of heaven. Now that the tunnel has awakened, Lu Gui naturally will not allow this kind of thing to happen. Looking at those creatures, Lu Gui laughed. He sacrificed the Hongmeng sword gourd, stimulated the creation sword chi and the time and space sword chi inside, and directly created the divine power and landed on these creatures. The netherworld creatures, which should have been nurturing for thousands of years before gradually evolving, gradually took shape. A tall and mighty being, the first to break out. 10 demon gods followed. Later, the netherworld became lively. All kinds of nether creatures, nether races, appear on the netherland. On Lu Gui's body, a huge black refining flower appeared, which was the merit of the flood desolate authentic sect rewarding him. A supernatural power that awakens all living beings in the netherworld in advance. Because of this action, Lu Gui's merits are monstrous. At this time, even several other saints in the netherworld were shocked by Lu Gui's actions and came to Lu Gui's side one after another. Those congenital ghostly creatures, the moment they saw Lu Gui. Get on your knees directly. Lu Gui, Hutu, Nuwa, Zhenyuanzi, and Mosquito Daoran. The body exudes the breath of an authentic saint, the reincarnation Taoist is in Lu Gui's body, and these netherworld, Zhaos, creatures have a natural sense of closeness and awe. Especially Lu Gui and Ho Tuesday I-1/4 OE. His reincarnation Taoist and Hutu are the first and second saints of the flood and the wilderness, and the saints who opened the heavens and the earth. In the eyes of these netherworld beings, they are the netherworld heavens. Meet the saints. Yama, Taishan, Honghuang, reincarnation. Meet the saints. These innate demon gods, who knew their names since they were born, bowed to the saints one after another. Interesting. Lu Gui smiled, others didn't know the identities of these demon gods. But he naturally understands that the Emperor Suodu, the 10 palaces of Yama, is the future underworld monarch. Emperor Suodu took over the authority of the monarch of Taishan Mansion, and after the tunnel was complete and the underworld was complete, he broke away from Taishan Mansion and made the landlord of the Daifu. The 10 palaces of Yama are the people who really control the real power of the underworld after the Emperor Suodu returned to seclusion. The 5 great kings of the flood wilderness are the Emperor of Taishan Mansion, the Emperor of Suodu, the 10 palaces of Yama, the Bodhisattva of the earth and the Tai Salvation Tianzun. The latter 2 are the Buddha Gate and the Dao Gate, which are inserted into the underworld and take away the nail of life and death. Naturally, that can't happen today. Lu Gui smiled, turned back to the Hutu girl and said. Back then, Hung Jun educated all living beings in the flood wilderness, and with this merit he became the ancestor of the flood wilderness. Now your chance has come, to evolve the avenue for the netherworld. Your chance to meet the path has come. When the Hutu girl heard this, her mouth couldn't close. Honghuang, fellow Taoist, please stop breaking the news. Author, Detective with 6 ears. Chapter 140. Xianggong, don't you want this opportunity to join the way? Hutu's choice of land return. She was not only moved, but also puzzled. The 4 great saints of the desolate land. Hutu incarnated as reincarnation, activated the tunnel, incarnated into the netherworld, and became the first saint. Reincarnation Taoist, control the 6 realms of reincarnation, and become the second saint. Zhenyuanzi, with the book of the earth through the world, the tunnel, and the desolate heaven connection, his Mount Tai is equivalent to the netherworld Buzhu mountain. Although he preached the Tao of mosquitoes, he was actually the 3rd saint of the tunnel. On the contrary, it is a mosquito Dao person, because the Lord of the netherworld Blood Sea preached, among the saints, he can only rank 4th. Among the four great saints of the tunnel, Hutu, reincarnation, and Zhen Yuanzi are all considered innate saints. But the only saints who are truly qualified to join the Tao are the reincarnation Taoists and the Hutu. Although the two are divided into the first and second, they are actually tied for the first place in the derivation of the netherworld. The girl is puzzled, why would Lu Gui give herself the opportunity to be in harmony with the authentic? This is the position of the Dao ancestor comparable to Hongzhen's status. When Lu Gui heard this, he smiled. The position of the authentic Dao ancestor, Lu Gui didn't think about winning it himself. After all, if one of his three major clones could win the position of Dao ancestor, for him, the merit was unlimited. But after thinking about it for a long time, he finally gave up on this tempting idea. First, it is because the reincarnation Taoist is only a doppelganger after all, and he may not be able to truly fit the Tao. The second and most important reason is that after the harmony, there is no freedom. Just like Dao ancestor Hongzhen, although he controls the entire flood wilderness, he enjoys the power of the heavenly Dao, and at the same time, he is also restricted by the heavenly Dao. This is the helplessness of the saints. If it is said that the ordinary saints, the constraints of the heavenly Dao on the saints are only vague. After Hongzhen and Tiandao are bound, he can't even make a move at will. Every time he makes a move, if it doesn't conform to the will of the heavenly Dao, he will be eaten by the heavenly Dao. After the Hong 290 wasteland is combined, it will definitely be subject to this restriction. If the reincarnation of the Dao is in harmony, his power will directly surpass his own essence. When the time comes, the restrictions of the tunnel will extend to the ontology. What will Lu Gui do? Lu Gui's real goal is to be a great Dao saint, a mixed Yuandaluo golden immortal who shuttles through the heavens and all worlds. It's not a frog at the bottom of a well that lives in a corner. Even if it is the position of Dao ancestor, it can't make him give up the sea of stars in the outside world. I like freedom, I don't like bondage. Even if it's a Dao ancestor in the desolate land, it's not enough for me to give up my Dao. Lu Gui said to the Hutu girl. Nuwa and Hutu girls were thoughtful when they heard the words. Hutu nodded softly and understood what her husband meant. If she becomes an authentic ancestor, I'm afraid that in the future, I won't be able to make a move in the flood wilderness casually, and even the Wu clan can't be in trouble. Just like Dao ancestor Hongzhen, he becomes an authentic Dao ancestor, unless he is robbed. Otherwise, the presence of soil will become less and less. But she can't help but become an authentic ancestor, and this position is very important. Their side offended Hongzhen. Before Lu Gui grew into a great Dao saint, there must always be someone who could confront Hongzhen. Moreover, there are still two vacancies for the holy throne of the authentic saint. If you don't control the tunnel, the positions of these two saints are likely to fall into the hands of others. Heaven and earth, but it is not a creature with a personality, and you will be close to whoever you like. The great Dao is selfless. If others have the opportunity to preach in the tunnel, even if it is the enemy of Lu Gui and others, the authentic will treat everyone equally. Then peace of mind is for the sake of the Prime Minister, guarding the desolate tunnel. The girl said softly and smiled at Lu Gui. Since it has been decided to let the Hutu be indoctrinated and accumulate merit. Lu Gui took a step back and let Hutu step forward. You are a netherworld innate demon god, and you have merit in your body, but you don't know how to use it. Today, I preach the way of reincarnation for you. Yadu, 10 palaces Yama and others were overjoyed when they heard this. These innate beings, although they have deep heals, their merits themselves, and even have their natal spiritual treasures and supernatural powers. But the understanding of the great Dao is not innate. Compared to those innate beings in the flood wilderness, they were much worse. Now the sage performs the fa, just like Hongzhen preached in the past. The future Emperor Sudu, the 10 palaces of Yama, as well as the Nyodu clan, the Mammon clan, the Leopard Tail, the One-Horned clan and other ghost clans, all bowed down to Hutu. My Tao is equal, there is no threshold. Go to the edge of the netherworld blood sea, and I will preach for all beings. With an order, the demon gods in the netherworld went away with the netherworld blood sea. Lu Gui smiled and handed over the fragment of the jade butterfly to Hutu. Hutu showed a touched look. With the creation of the jade butterfly, the effect of her preaching would be 100 times better. But that's not all. Lu Gui then recruited the heavenly Dao people. 1. Go and bring me all the enlightenment tea that has been saved on Yingzhou Island over the years. Boil it into a big pot of tea and distribute it to those beings who listen to the Fa. Lu Gui said a word, and the heavenly Dao people broke through the sky. His words made Zhen Yuan's hands tremble. 6-eared seniors, but they are really crazy demons to protect their wives, for the sake of His Majesty Hutu, are they all so arrogant? Enlightenment tea, even for saints, is a useful thing. Zhen Yuanzu received a little gift from Yingzhou Island, and he has been carefully preserving it, and occasionally took out a stick to make tea. What do the 6-eared seniors say now? Big pot of tea, he's almost crazy, right? Not long after, the heavenly Dao people took the female fairy of Yingzhou Island, the East China Sea Dragon Court Candle Dragon, Aoluan. There are also core disciples of Yingzhou Island, Huang Zongtongzi and others coming over. Huang Zhongtong and the others held a cauldron comparable to a mountain peak in their hands. This pot is an acquired spiritual treasure. Huang Zhongtong put the cauldron to the ground and opened it. The aroma of enlightenment tea made these innate demon gods stupid. Today, my master and wife are preaching, these enlightenment teas are cheap for you. Emperor Xiudu, the 10 palaces Yama and others, all cried greedily. Especially what Huang Zhongtong said. Before everyone listened to the Fa, they were grateful to the Hutu sage. Wisps of merit condensed on the Hutu girl. The merit of the golden body of the Bak's oil, giving up a trace of purple qi. Lu Gui nodded, he deliberately created momentum for Hutu, which had a very good effect. Enlightenment tea, with the fingers of the heavenly Taoists, was distributed to the hands of those ghostly beings who came to listen to the sermon with incomparable accuracy. The congenital heels are deep, and Lu Gui has more points. Those with weak heels have fewer heels. However, on the whole, it can be regarded as rain and dew. Netherworld beings, drinking enlightenment tea, instantly increased their understanding. At this time, all opportunities are ripe, and the Hutu begins to ascend to the throne and evolve the avenue of reincarnation. The Tao is divided into yin and yang, life and death are endless, and life and death are also. As Hutu began to preach the avenue of reincarnation, the sentient beings of the underworld were like being struck by lightning. Hutu is a reincarnation saint, and the elaboration of the road of reincarnation points directly to the hearts of the people. The avenue of reincarnation is the foundation of the netherworld. These netherworld beings, even if they are not the demon gods of the great Dao of reincarnation, have a sense of the great Dao of reincarnation. Suddenly, under the influence of enlightenment tea, everyone began to listen to the post-2 Tao in meditation. Hutu from the road of reincarnation, preaching life and death, preaching the way of the dead. She also expounded on cause and effect, the underworld, and the avenue of earth. One sermon, 3,000 years. The innate beings of the entire netherworld listened to it as if they were fascinated. Emperor Xiudu, the first innate demon god of the netherworld, born Taoist immortal. After a performance, he went straight to Doluo Jingxian. The 10 palaces of Yama are worse than the Emperor Xiudu, but there are also earth immortals who cultivate. After Hutu expounded the great Dao, they advanced to the golden immortal and even the Tai golden immortal. Other underworld voices such as the Bullhead clan and the Ghost King clan are also cultivating to skyrocket. Along with the post-earth performance, the merits of the tunnels descended down, which directly accelerated the cultivation speed of the local creatures of the netherworld. Lu Gui watched from the side and nodded frequently. The original fate of this netherworld, because the tunnel was not born. During the period of the journey to the west, the emperor was only mixed with a golden immortal. And the 10 palaces of Yama are even worse, and the golden immortals have not been mixed. That's why he was beaten down by the monkey and changed the book of life and death. But now, Lu Gui sneered. If there is such an underworld, the monkey dares to come? One of the 10 halls of Yama dared to destroy him. Hutu girl's speech, this is only half of it. At the end of the 3,000-year-old preaching, Hutu began to talk about quasi-saints and the method of preaching for the saints of the netherworld. But it's different from Hongjuan's secretiveness. She will use her strength to prove the Tao, behead 3 corpses and other methods, and then tell the way of killing the Tao, and the extreme method of mixing Yuendeluo Jinxian one by one. Netherworld beings originally heard that there were only 2 of them left in the position of the authentic saint, and they were quite lost. But the method of preaching the Tao with strength and killing the Tao made everyone ecstatic. This Ho-Tu saint is much more atmospheric than Dao ancestor Hongjuan. As one of the 3,000 guests in Hongchen, Nuwa, and Zhenyuanzi couldn't help but sigh. The method of preaching the Tao with strength and killing the Wei is also very difficult. But after the Tuyan Dao said it generously, the pattern was 100 times higher than that of Dao Ziu Hongjuan. It's difficult, and practitioners are not afraid. What I am afraid of is that the road ahead is dead. Hongjuan is selfish, so he will completely control the flood famine, which is naturally different. Lu Gui took Nuwa and Zhenyuanzi's words and smiled. For him, if there were more mixed Yuendeluo Jin immortals, this world would be interesting enough. Of course, this is not possible. He preached for himself, and it was all difficult, not to mention others. After Hutu finished preaching the 4 methods of preaching, the conversation changed. He also took out the jade butterfly of creation. When the jade butterfly began to evolve the 3,000 great Dao, especially the laws of reincarnation and other natural laws. The creatures of the netherworld are completely insane. Niang Niangzhend. The kindness of the sage of peace, toothless and unforgettable. Under the effect of enlightenment tea, everyone began to comprehend the great Dao. This sermon is another 3,000 years. Emperor Xiudu broke the great Luo Jin immortal, and went straight to the quasi-saint. The top 10 Yamas have broken through the great Luo golden immortal. For a time, merit hung in the air, and the ground swelled with golden lotus. Those innate demon gods were wrapped in a golden lotus. My magic weapon has also been promoted. Behold, the treasure from heaven. The netherworld earth, all kinds of auspicious and different phases, there are countless ones. After the earth has finished preaching for all beings. For a moment, everyone fell silent. Next, Lu Gui smiled and asked Zhenyuanzi, Mosquito Daoran, and others to go up and perform for all sentient beings. Zhenyuanzi said that the avenue of earth, the avenue of law, and the avenue of cause and effect. The Mosquito Dao people said that the avenue of killing, the avenue of devouring, the avenue of blood. Another 3,000 years have passed. Over the past 10,000 years, the strength of the netherworld beings has directly increased by 3 or 5 levels. I should be authentic, follow the opportunity, and perform the Fa for the sentient beings of the netherworld. Now the merit is complete. I am the back of the earth, today I am in harmony with the earth, and I am the ancestor of the Tao. After the speech of Hutu, he made a sound of the heavens. The netherworld, the desolate world, all living beings are shocked. Hutu is in harmony with the Tao. Another Dao ancestor appeared in the flood wilderness.